Hi, hello. Uh, Dorian, I'm about to give you a heads up literally as we just started recording. I have Sam over here. We have the Bandicoot. We have him here because I, again, didn't tell you something that I was watching. I was watching the rehearsal. So now we're actually going to start off, and this is going to be a special episode strapped to a main episode again. So, Sam, I'm going to toss it to you because we all know that Dorian is less important than you. So, how are you?
Hi, I graduated from one of Canada's top business schools with really good grades, and now I'm using my knowledge to help struggling business owners make it in this competitive world. But no, I'm not
God damn it.
helping these people. I'm helping other people this time in the rehearsal.
All right. Here, I
Um,
was really hoping that you'd be able to help me turn out a profit for Passive Pixels, but at this point, I realize
we
that
can,
is just
we will help you. I will help you rehearse passive pixels into a somewhat financial success.
Jesus. Okay. Good luck. Good luck, Dorian. How are you? How do you feel about knowing that I watched the rehearsal and I felt strongly enough to bring the Bandicoot in?
I'm not surprised because you've been Nathan pilled now, and
Mhm.
the show is pretty fucking wild. So I figured you'd get to it actually sooner rather than later. So this is not as big a surprise as the one last week.
Mm.
It is always a surprise though to hear our lovely Bandicoot friend here. So I'm glad he's here. Welcome, Sam. But I would
Hello.
like to say, absolute full of horse shit. Not even Nathan himself, with 3,000 different scenarios, could make Passive Pixels make a profit.
Oh,
Thank you.
ooh,
Finally, finally. That
ooh,
was the response that I wanted to
ooh,
hear.
ooh.
All right.
Shots fired.
No, I mean that's not shots fired. Like I agree. Like hand me the gun. I'm gonna pull
brother,
the trigger.
brother, it's just facts. I'm sorry.
1000%. Exactly. That's the thing. People have spent money
Hear
on
that?
stupider shit. So
Yeah, true.
Well, season two of the rehearsal,
Yeah,
they'll
HBO's about to spend some more
yeah,
money on that shit, so we'll
yeah.
see what happens.
all of season two is
The
basically like,
greatest.
how can we make this shitty podcast make $1 million? All right. So yeah, special episode. Although to be fair, it's probably only going to take up like what 30 to 40 minutes. I don't know. We'll see. Let's get initial impressions out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and start. The entire reason why I wanted to bootstrap this to a main episode is that the rehearsal. I think is actually maybe one of the greatest TV shows ever made. It is something that I wish that a person who is currently studying in school to become some sort of psychologist or sociologist would write their master thesis to become a doctorate for on this show. That's exactly the kind of level that we're talking here. And then I know that no matter what I say, I feel like it is going to come up short with just how ridiculously deep you can go into the show if you wanted to about the human psyche. So, Sam, I'm going to toss it to you because I know that you and Dorian over here were talking about the show already. So, expound on your feelings about this. No spoilers before we dive in deeper.
Of course. Yeah, the rehearsal. As someone who is a very big Nathan Fielder fan, at least of Nathan for You for um, quite a few years. It was like one of those shows I just kind of literally discovered by just sitting mindlessly one day um, years ago, and I'm like, "What the hell is this show?" And I'm like, "Oh, is it reality TV or something?" And then like, sure enough, I'm watching this, and I'm like, "There is no way. What like this is not something's not right here." and that and that is Nathan for You, which is a reality TV show, a very warped version of a reality TV show. And so to describe the rehearsal, actually, you can describe it with one word, which is psychotic.
Yeah.
It is absolutely fucking psychotic, and I do not know how uh, a television network was like, yes, let's make this. Let's give this man, I would assume, millions of dollars to construct this kind of television show for a network, and just let him do whatever he wanted with it for however long this took to make, because it looks like it was being made during COVID or somewhere at some point. Um, but God, I was taken aback immediately within the first episode with just how insane. Immediately, I'm like, okay, what is this man up to this time? I walked into it completely blind because I heard people were just like, it's incredible, you got to check it out. And I, within the first 15 minutes or 10 minutes, I'm like, oh my God, the fuck is going on? What? And, yeah, just utterly psychotic is the best way to describe it without kind of spoiling it.
Yeah, yeah. Dorian, your turn.
It's
Yeah.
so hard. It's really, 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 really difficult to talk about this show without spoilers. Let me start there because it is. I
Mhm.
feel. But I echo everything you guys say. I obviously am very late to Nathan, Mr. Nathan here. Me and Ed both are.
Yep.
But Nathan for You was phenomenal. I love it. It's basically one of my favorite TV shows of all time now. I think it's absolutely hilarious. So as soon as I finish that, I'm like, well, fuck it. I'm going to start the rehearsal. This is the perfect time for me. And yeah, it's just I don't know. Like it's bizarre. Like how he could like convince HBO to do this show or anyone even to make a show like this. Like I would have loved to see the pitch for this. If there's a Blu-ray and it like shows the pitch for it, that's
The
worth the money
rehearsal for the
alone.
pitch.
Like yeah, like I just there's got to be like it's wild to me. And now don't get me wrong, I understand like this show probably costs like a 20th of what something like Game of Thrones costs. HBO has money. Let's
Mhm.
be clear. They got money to spend whatever the fuck they want. But still to spend whatever they're spending on a show like this that's just so out there, insane, wild, whatever you want to say, it's definitely interesting. And if you haven't watched this or have any remote passing interest in it, for the love of God, when we start going into spoilers, skip over it because part of the brilliance of this show is just kind of having the rug pulling out from you, I feel. And it's great.
The best comparison I can make before we jump into spoilers is that if you're I feel like this is the highest compliment I can give it, but if you're a Charlie Kaufman fan, or like love Synecdoche, New York, you're gonna love the rehearsal. That's like the level of like mindfuck it is.
I love how you're the only one, even between the three of us, that knows that.
Yeah, yeah.
The one thing I do want to say is that do you think giving the premise of the show is a spoiler as well, or do you just want to say the title? Look at the title and then take a guess about what kind of person Nathan Fielder is. What do you think?
No, I think you're fine giving out the premise, like basically the first episode. Like if you're talking about what the show's I don't want to spoil anything. If you're talking about what you think the show is going to be, yes, then I don't think that's a spoiler. You're fine.
Okay, fair enough. Sam, where do you think?
I think it's perfectly fine to maybe just give like a simple, well, the show is anything but simple,
Yeah.
but as simple as a description as you can. Sure, although, yeah, it's I would if someone hasn't seen like Nathan for You, it might be a bit of a
Oh, just going off of that tangent for a
yeah.
second. Do not watch the rehearsal if you haven't watched Nathan for
Yeah,
You.
if
Watch
you if
all of Nathan for You
mhm.
and then watch the rehearsal. The rehearsal is a very good companion piece.
Yeah, the rehearsal is like the next step evolution of what like of a lot of what Nathan for You is. Um and I think the rehearsal is so far out there that it might leave some a little bit it won't
Confused.
con- confused maybe, but also it won't
Be a satisfactory.
yeah, not as
Yeah,
satisfactory for most. Like as if they're maybe, and I'm sure there's probably some people who loved Nathan for You who weren't like
yeah.
into this, or like as they progressed through the episodes and got to the finale, weren't satisfied with how it all wraps up and everything.
It's
Yeah,
Um,
I
okay.
think I
Those
think
got
this will
filtered
fil
properly.
Yeah, I was
yeah.
gonna say I think this is gonna filter people, like,
Oh
for
yeah.
sure. So, yeah.
There's one thing I do want to say then. I feel like if you got through all of Nathan for You, and if you don't like the last episode, I guess don't watch the rehearsal. I feel like that maybe
True.
might be the best way to say it because that last episode is kind of uh, a good indication of where this was going to go. Anyways, okay, we got the spoilers out of the way. Let me go ahead and give the premise before we end up going into spoilers. So, the premise is the show. Nathan, he grabs people. Hey, what do you want to do? Do you have some sort of regrets? What Nathan does is that he listens to their regrets and then he basically helps them recreate the scenario of how they can get the situation that they want done. So for the first episode, there is a person who has been lying to his friends for years. So Nathan basically helps him create a scenario where he has to tell the truth to this person in multiple different situations with very small variables every single time. That's an example. We're not going to give any more. So I guess from here, spoilers. 3, 2, 1. This is really hard to spoil, so I guess if you listen to the spoiler at this point, fuck you, you suck. I'm just gonna tell you right now that the last episode is Nathan apparently may have adopted a child because through these entire schemes and shenanigans and all that, he may have found a kid who wasn't able to tell between reality and pretend, and so now Nathan might be a dad. Yeah, how the fuck do you even spoil this? That's the thing. Like,
There's
Yeah.
there's a lot to unpack here, and I see why you're dedicating a bit of this this segment of your show to this show,
yeah,
because there's so much that happens in each episode and certain scenes and then certain ideas that are explored that I think there's like there's more to explore than just the characters themselves.
you mean the
And
people? They're actual
yeah,
people.
they're people.
Well,
That's the thing. Yeah, they're actual
yeah.
people who I know some people were. I've seen some people debate whether or not if any of this was real or not, and I'm like, I don't know if that really. No, I believe this is all real. This
Same.
I think Nathan Fielder's been pretty good at convincing people to just these like insane antics, and besides, like, I'm sure the real people that got into the show were also paid
Yeah,
um and got were rewarded in some sense outside of the whole free, hey, like, hey, we're gonna basically give you some of these people free therapy, um
yeah.
and on top of that, there's also just like the thing with the kid in the final episode, which is kind of the I would like to think, um I'm sure some of this was planned. I don't think all of this show was planned, and I think that's what gave this show like a like anything could have happened at any moment, at any time during any of this, and they clearly understood that, but I don't think they really like understood. They kind of, even Nathan says like he didn't like realize like some of the things that did end up happening, like just even the mistakes they made in episode 1 when they first tried it with I forget the man's name, the trivia night person.
Oh,
But some of they were unaware with some of the problems that might have
core.
core that might have arose with him and his trivia night if he comes to a pass where he's like, oh, I'm not gonna go through with this if I screw up trivia night as well, and it's like, so there's a lot of things that kind of happen along the way, unexpectedly, and you kind of don't really know what's gonna happen.
All
um
right. To follow that direction, I am in full belief that all of this is real. I'm pretty
mm,
sure what they've done is that they may have just had these scenarios and they just would capture footage. And what is it? Didn't for Nathan, for you, didn't they say that they have like hundreds of hours that they have
Yes.
per season?
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah, they have
my thought
lots that they
process.
had that was basically left on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, so
Mm.
my thought process is that probably with this show, there are 6 episodes. If you really wanted to use all the footage of how many attempts they had, there's probably like a good like 25 episodes sitting on
Yeah.
a cutting room floor, and they just go back, look through the footage, and go, okay, that is what that episode is. This is what that episode is. How much do we have? We have 6 episodes. Because like even the fact with the 5th episode when they had the one guy who no, it was the Canes guy, right? It was the Canes guy that he had his like breakdown moment and then he
That
just never
was
showed back up.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, it was
episode 3.
episode 3, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe
Yeah,
so,
okay.
3.
So then that to me just sort of seems like, okay, you guys probably didn't even have footage of like a successful one that you guys used this one too? Or was this one interesting? Like, there's enough stuff in here that make me think if this is such a short episode run and you had literally one of the people, bail because they've already gotten what they needed, it's like I am in the full belief that this is all real. Dorian, I'm tossing it to you. Where do you sit
Yeah.
on this?
let me be the dissenting voice here, although maybe not
Okay.
as much as you'd think.
Okay.
I think there's probably a good chance that this is all real. And I think that's very likely, and it probably will be the case. But if there's anyone if there's anyone that could be playing, like, he's playing this entire show from the very start is playing mind games with the audience. I think it's very
Eh,
clear. It's slowly, like, from the very first episode, if you go back and rewatch it, there's plenty of little clues that show that they're already starting to pull the rug out from underneath you, and they waste no time in getting to that and fucking with you. If there is some sort of, I don't want to say lesson, but if there is some sort of ultimate goal or plan that would cause him to want to use a bunch of actors and fuck with everyone and have some sort of ultimate goal at the end of this, then I would not put it past the man for a second for this all to be completely fucked up and scripted.
I'm sorry.
But
I love the idea. Look, I know everything that you're saying, but I love the idea. Imagine if there's like 7 seasons of the rehearsal, and then at the final moment, Nathan just comes out. It's like, and he just has a completely different voice. He's like, "Everybody, I lied to you. Nathan, for you, none of it was real. The rehearsal, all of it was fake. Every person that you've seen in this show, family members, all of them. Thanks
like,
for the
it
money,
just,
bitch."
I can't put anything past this fucker.
Yes.
Like what if we go 5 seasons deep on this show, and then all of a sudden, instead of the intro to the rehearsal, we get Nathan for you, and then it's like, okay, HBO, the plan, trick fucking 10 million people into think they're watching an actual fucking a reality show when this is all scripted shit. Like, who knows with that man? He's so fucking insane. I can't put anything past him.
He's this show in particular, like, not like Nathan for you, he's obviously playing a character.
Yes.
But now I kind of threw that idea away
What?
in the rehearsal, where I'm like,
Oh.
oh, like it's borderline, like, I think the show, the one thing, like, why I presented that question of whether this was real or fake, is that it ends up becoming like, it's really a lot more than, like, the show's a lot more than that, just that question alone, where it becomes this character study on who Nathan Fielder is, like, and I'm not even sure if it's actually like, is it a character study and, like, deconstruction of who Nathan Fielder is, or Nathan Fielder the, like, Nathan for you Nathan Fielder, or the Nathan Fielder of the rehearsal Nathan, like, like, there's never this clear, like, I don't know how to describe it, because he's so good at never breaking character, and you only ever get, like, maybe 1 or 2 slip ups in Nathan for you because of the reactions he, like, or just kind of the interactions he got with some of those people. But
Shout out
in
to the
the
guy drinking his
rehearsal,
nephew's
pee.
piss.
Yeah, he I like, at any point in the rehearsal, I'm like, is, because that's the thing. It's also, this is much more of a, if Nathan for you was more like a kind of a reality TV, the rehearsal is kind of reality TV, but it's more of a documentary series.
I mean, both of them are technically listed as
Yeah.
documentary series.
True. That's a good point.
It's so hard to put this show into a bubble of what kind of genre
it
it
is.
is, because
Dude,
there's really nothing like it. There really
Not
isn't.
only that,
Yeah.
you have people in Nathan for You who are like, yeah, no, I'm signing up for your documentary thing. Like, the people there have been sold on the idea that this is going to be a documentary.
Mhm.
All right. I have to say, I am terrified of Nathan Fielder. I am terrified to ever be in the same room as this man, because I don't know what he'll pull out of me, and I don't know what there even is in me to pull out. This man scares me, because this man has, okay, into the same thought of, what is the rehearsal for? I do think that he is playing a little bit more of a character in Nathan for You. But in the rehearsal, I think we get a little bit closer to who he actually is. I think it isn't until the final episode that it ends up coming a bit more to light of, this is about Nathan himself. Man, this is where it gets weird, because then you start looking at Nathan for You stuff, and it's like, if he is playing a comedic version of himself, there must still be some truths there. Are there some truths that he found for himself during Nathan for You that he wanted to explore during the rehearsal? Like, Take it from here, anyone.
Just some of the things that happen later, for as like kind of just of a mindfuck this show is within the first couple of episodes. The more meta and self-aware it gets, the more these questions just become even like there's more questions than you're given any answers, and it's like that whole like what is the point, like the point of the rehearsal, that whole question like just kind of like expanded into something else after like the first couple episodes, once he got very involved with once he got involved with like Angela, who's one of the characters we meet on the show, um and gets involved like with a fake family, and it's like it's an actual like 24/7 day night cycle, but they're running it in a weird simulation where you're basically experiencing life and being a parent in this very fucking weird 2-week span where your child like one day is 9 and the next day he's 12 and so on, and and then they even try to explore all these different avenues of the actual upbringing of a child. So like when Nathan goes away for an episode to do the whole Fielder method, which that episode is insane of itself, with how he basically gets a bunch of people to go stalk and find like essentially just play stalker mode to turn like to make them better actors, and ends up even like living in another man's apartment and all this other shit, comes back and then realizes, oh yeah, this simulation I had going is still going, and now my son is being played by an older actor, and and I've technically been gone for 9 years, so now we're rehearsing a simulation family where the dad character has been gone for most of the son's life, and the kind of ramifications of that in a simulation, and it just becomes God, it as I just talk and describe and some of the events that happen in the show, I just start sounding like a madman and ramble out of control, because so much happens in between each thing. Like these things he has constructed and set up, like even in the Fielder method episode, he has all these people come in, and he essentially like gets them all to hey, like your goal today is to go meet someone on the streets of LA, essentially start talking to them, get as much information about them as you possibly can, and then when you get home, find out who this person is online, and then find out as much as possible about them, and come back to me dressed as them and copy any sort of things you might pick up along the way, from these short interactions. And some of these people end up even like everyone ends up working at some of these people's like jobs and shit for like a week, which is God, I don't even know where to go from here, because it's just like everything that happens is like I said at the top, is like it's psychotic, and it even gets to the point where they start rehearsing stuff you've already seen in the show. So you start watching another rehearsed scene of both like the actors that were there in that episode. So he hires more actors to play the people that were at the meeting, and it turns into this like meta, like constantly
We're
meta
3
break.
layers deep at this point of rehearsals.
Yeah.
Yes, the rehearsalception, let's call it, and just it gets even more like that by the end of it, especially in the final episode with the kid. God, I don't know where to go from here in terms of discussion, because there's just so many different avenues you can pick from, like who like Angela was as a character, the Cord, the first character we meet, and person we meet in the first episode, and then the man I forgot whose name in episode 3 at the Canes, and his whole thing with his brother. It's just there's so much to unload and unpack.
I think like what I think is interesting, and I'll take it in a different direction here, or whatever. I don't know where you guys are going to go, but I'll take it in a direction.
I don't know what direction we're going.
That's fine.
That's the thing.
All right,
As
so
soon as we started this, I was like, I don't know how to even tackle this. So this is just going to be a full discussion.
Yeah, this is a hard. We probably should have rehearsed beforehand, actually, and figured out how we're going to tackle it.
Related, I actually wanted to float the idea with Sam about how we can rehearse rehearsal this where you're the target, and then neither of us thought of anything, and now we're here. So don't worry,
Fair
there
enough.
were some thoughts into this. It's just that there was no way to execute. We really needed.
Fair enough.
Continue.
So no. What I was gonna say is, so I was watching this, and unfortunately, like literally, no one else had watched this yet. I was really frustrated by that because I'm like, oh my god, like this is fucking insane. I need somebody to talk with this about. So I'm embarrassed and ashamed to admit this, but I relied on Reddit to look at some discussion for this.
I'm
Yeah,
so sorry.
I needed to see some fucking opinions on this, and specifically after the finale itself. So I'm jumping right to the finale here. Well, no, actually, sorry, not the finale. I should say the second to last episode, the one where Angela leaves. So spoiler, by the way, she basically packs up and ends up fucking off.
We already said we're spoilers. That's fine. Whatever.
Yeah. So she says, "I'm out of here. I'm gone. I don't want to do this anymore." Basically, and what I found interesting is even on a small Reddit like that, like there wasn't that many people. There was probably, a good maybe few hundred comments on it, enough people discussing it, is just how split people were on that alone, on if Angela is just being a self-righteous cunt, or if she's justified and Nathan's turning this into his own thing. And it was such an interesting and fascinating discussion from just that little chunk alone, where it's like, yeah, Angela's a crazy bitch. Don't get me wrong, she is. They're like, I really, there's something off about her to me. But she did sign up for a rehearsal, and all of a sudden, Nathan's slowly making this about him and taking over the show, and it's fascinating, man. Like,
It is.
she could have rolled with it better, but she just decided, nah, man, this isn't for me anymore. I'm out. And it just completely adjusted the direction the show went. And that's why something like that, you're like, oh man, is that really real? Like, if that is fucking reality, then that just, like, again, you're plotting out this like little rehearsal path and all the different ways little things could go. I mean, then they would have had to have a path for that, where if she says, no, I'm out of here, fuck this, or if she's like, no, I'm gonna stay, like, what would have changed? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just, it's such a mind fuck, and like you guys said, it's so hard to explain this show, and there's only so much we can explain in a limited amount of time. But it's something you really have to fucking experience for yourself, I feel, because it's just so out there.
I see what you're saying, because they're actually like thinking about that, and just like when she does leave and it's like, oh, did becoming a bit too much to me anymore, or like it's becoming too much, like he's in too much control. And even early on, like when he said like, hey, do you want me to play, because we need like a husband, or husband role, of course, in this like, because she obviously was like planning on getting married, she's a person of faith and wanted like a man in the life to help raise a family with, and Nathan's like, oh, I'm in a position of power to ask this, but do you want me to join a part of this rehearsal? And she agrees to it. My thing with her is that she, very early on, Nathan kind of suspected that like she might have been doing this to maybe get a free vacation out of like living at like this house they rented out in somewhere in Oregon for like God knows how long, to put on this whole rehearsal. And again, like that kind of, that early suspicion kind of it becomes true, because when they review like all the footage from any of the time he's gone and is left, she just like, she breaks the simulation entirely. And is like interacting with the actors off script, and is not like sticking with the rehearsal.
Would you though? I'm curious. Like,
that's the thing. If
I'm throwing in that situation,
hard, yeah.
I might too. It's so fucking weird to me.
It is.
Look, but that's what you're there for. You are there to simulate, to see Yes, I understand breaking character, maybe like a little bit, but she was never in character.
She definitely went. Yeah, she definitely didn't take it as seriously as I think she probably should have. But I gotta, like, if I put myself in those shoes, like, there's no fucking way I would have never broken character, man. That's just so weird. Like everything about that situation is so fucking bizarre.
I think the one thing I really took away from that is that, now thinking about this and her whole journey through that rehearsal, and how she reacted whenever Nathan was there to act like a parent, and then versus when she was gone, I would say some of the rehearsal itself both succeeded and failed. So where Angela failed the simulation to actually stick with the rehearsal and actually put, as much effort as Nathan was, and Nathan really was like, it ultimately ends up consuming him and becoming like it, turns into his own thing when it was originally someone else's rehearsal. But I think both failed her, but it also told us that, oh, the simulation actually kind of worked, because when he was gone, she just completely was not in mother mode, and she only ever saw like the easy elements of being a mother, and didn't actually like get
Want to be a mom.
yeah, she didn't actually want to be a mom, is what I'm trying to say, like through this, even though she really wants to be, but the only thing she ended up taking away from it in this like throughout this rehearsal simulated experience is that, oh, she just wants kind of the she just she wants it for some other reasons, that like of not actually being a parent or something. Like she doesn't really want to be a parent in the end, is what I'm just
She
trying to
wants
say.
the
But
idea of being a mom, not being a mom.
yeah, not being exactly, yeah. And it's both where the rehearsal failed but also succeeded in finding out that, oh, because obviously the original plan was, we're making the simulation to see if Angela wants to be a mother, and it turns out she's obviously not meant to be one. Like the interactions and the shit she says, I'm like, man, this Angela reminds me a little too close of some family members I do not talk to anymore. And like it's just like, oh, like that kind of, this, like his reaction to when she's like, yeah, did you know, like when she starts talking about Halloween and like satanic rituals and shit, and like Nathan going
Oh,
along with
yeah.
it and just acting, like doy, like he's just like, what, no, what do you mean, I thought Halloween was like about candy and stuff. Like that constantly cracks me, like always cracks me up, like him pretending and like trying to like
That's
act
that
dumb as,
Nathan for you right there.
yeah,
That's where
yeah,
has them on the line and he just starts fishing like, no, what did you mean by that?
yeah, and then he's,
isn't it a line where he's
yeah.
actually like, you need to give me a list of what's not a satanic ritual at
Yes.
this point. It's so good. It's so good.
Oh, I love it. Even one of my favorite parts was when him and the young boy who ends up thinking Nathan's his actual dad, they made that the doctor skit, and like Nathan eats the chocolate bar and pretends it's poop.
Poop
And
is
and
satanic.
yeah, poop, and her face when they were watching it, and he's like, it cuts back from like the footage of him eating the chocolate bar and then licking his fingers, and it hard cuts to her like reaction, and you could just tell she is not fucking pleased at all, and is like, at any moment she just looks like she's gonna snap. It was great. Oh my god. um God, some of the yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
know.
even,
Trust me, I know. I know.
it's there's so much.
It's a very hard show to talk about because even when you want to think about even just stuff like that, then you kind of want to go deeper, and then it's like
And
going
deeper,
back to
and yeah.
what you were talking about the rehearsal, like about it being a success and a failure. Honestly, I think that part of this is that Nathan is like, oh man, I kind of like the idea of a family, and so it's like that entire rehearsal ends up becoming a thing where Nathan realizes that maybe he does want a family, and that's why like at the end when he that's the thing. It's so weird because literally the end of the series is him breaking character of him as Angela, breaking character to be like, I am your dad. And you're like, I don't know, man. Like, do you think that, okay, no. If we go back to this thinking that it's real, Nathan did feel bad for that kid, right? Like,
Oh
without a doubt.
yes, yes. I
I would imagine so.
I would have. Yeah, he doesn't, as psychotic as some of these schemes are. He seems to have like, I think he went to go follow up with the kid, both for the show's sake and like what they were exploring, um, but also I think as part of kind of like, oh, like I genuinely feel bad because again, that whole scenario with this kid and the psychological consequences that it ended up causing is honestly a commentary on child actors in general in Hollywood. And at this point, it's honestly arguable that, like, should child actors even be allowed in literally children working on these sets and having the and being in these environments, like what the hell should they even be exposed to? And like one of the best like things I saw someone say on Twitter was just like the final episode of the rehearsal, Nathan Fielder deserves to be both locked up and also win an Emmy, which is a good funny good kind of way of looking at it. Because, and again, like I think that obviously I don't that there's no way any of that was scripted, because I don't think he like it was never an intentional goal to have anyone
Look up a
else
kid.
that was in well, that and also anyone else that was involved with the show on the side to become that involved. And like I don't think that was obviously not planned at all, to have like out of like just have an extra actor who's working 4 hours a day on the set because of the laws, of course, of child labor laws and stuff and film. This kid, for those shorts amount of time, ended up thinking, and even after the fact, thought Nathan Fielder was his real dad. And and God, it was pretty heartbreaking. Like it actually, like
Yeah.
that's the one thing about this show, is that this show managed to not just be incredibly funny, of course, because it's Nathan Fielder and he's a fucking madman, and his humor is both cringe, awkward, and psychotic. But it managed to be like very dramatic and successful at it too, and more than just being any kind of like just what Nathan For You was, which was primarily a comedy. And this show managed to be just kind of like some moments were a little too real, like the Kane brothers, like that moment with the when the brother broke down during his rehearsal in the third episode. Like Nathan like pushed that man to the point of like a break, and he and after he left, I couldn't blame him. Because my reaction after that happened, I'm like, how the fuck do you recap? Like, how do you do that again? How do you get that same exact real reaction, emotion? Like, how do you rehearse that again? And of course, the like hearing that they're like, oh, he left. We didn't hear from him. We don't know what happened to him. I'm like, yeah, it makes. I would like to assume that he actually just went straight to his brothers and maybe just patch things up. And I mean, I like hope for the best,
Also, just talking about reality, the whole thing with Nathan trying to get Judaism onto each one of the kids and just Angela not having it. It's so weird when you think about how that was an entire line of the show, and it's just like, man, I don't even know how to tackle this, because I keep wanting to tackle this as a real thing, and then you remember it's a rehearsal, and you're like, this fucking show is really hard to talk about, man. Like
it is yeah, I think that's what just gives it so much God, like you could like so much credit, because I think parts of it are obviously like I want to know what the process now of like how the show was made, like how much of this was either thought up on the spot, or like they genuinely had plans to have certain
beats to hit
and stuff. Because again, like I don't think, obviously we get some very real emotional moments on the show, like that moment where the fake Angela like actually tears into him about like how like the thing he's the basically, which is like honestly a bit of a, I don't know what to call it, like almost like a break of like breaking the show and actually like diving into Fielder's whole method of comedy, which is like kind of, is he making fun of, like, is he ultimately taking advantage of these people and making fun of them for the entertainment of us, the audience, by the end of the day? Like, is that like, that's definitely a part of it, but I don't think like it's so hard to like that moment, that particular moment though, when she's ripping into him, I'm like, was that rehearsed, or did that woman who's playing Angela like do this on the spot? Like, was this something they like either rehearsed beforehand, or she ad-libbed right there and then? Because his reaction to what she said was like, he just looked a little like
he thrown off.
Yeah, like he was thrown off completely and very like uncomfortable, and then he was like, he just kind of just, I don't remember what he said, but I think he said something like, he was just like, that was really good, and then did something else after that.
No,
'Cause
and then
he's
they
just like,
reset, which is also another thing. It's
yeah.
like you can't just hit reset on these big emotional moments. So then it just becomes a
Mhm.
question of like, are you commenting on yourself that you don't think that you can handle these emotional moments? So that's why you like these scenarios where you can just hit start and go back. Like, so you know what? I hate that no matter where we leave this conversation off, usually I like most of the topics on this show. Like, once we're done, we're like, yeah, we're good. We're happy about what we said. There is 0 point where we could reach, no matter how long we spend talking about this, will I ever be satisfied with talking about this show.
That is kind of to tie it back to the like Charlie Kaufman Synecdoche, New York praise. Like, that's something that like I I'd be thinking about after the conversation that I would have with someone talking about that movie and be like, oh, I forgot to you discuss this or this or this or this, and because there is just so much to unpack, and like both Nathan Fielder as a person, as a character, the show itself, the people that are on this show, and the consequences from every single one of these rehearsals, both good or bad. Because it does work out for Core. Like, it ends up in the first episode. The nice thing is that it works out for Core, and he gets closer with his friend, who he originally thought was a bit, kind of would come off and or tear him apart, and they wouldn't be friends anymore. And that's an amazing thing too. There's so much pressure and there's so much tension in that first episode, and it is just like real life, where you're like, if you've ever had like a moment where you feel like you have to share something either sensitive like that, or just, or like anything particular like that in that moment, or like you're working up to a moment essentially, um and then it like completely just, it's like, oh yeah, because her reaction was just like, oh yeah, oh,
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
she was a bit,
Whatever.
she was surprised. She goes, oh really? She goes, and she was probably just more in like the fact that she was probably more impressed after that he's so knowledgeable, and like, maybe she's a bit like, okay, he didn't have to lie, like that's a bad thing, but in her brain she's probably like, you know what, I'm a bit more impressed that this man does not have as much education as the rest, myself and the rest of us in this friend group, and he's just as smart as us, if not maybe more. And but again, like, even throughout all this success, Nathan did do some things to kind of like the whole subconsciously pitting the answers into Core.
God.
Oh my god, that whole sequence of like, the best part about that is that some of the things that happen feel right at home in New York City, where they're at for that whole rehearsal. So like in the park, when the girl like spills whatever, like coffee or the drink she had on her like clothes, and she says, oh, this is
Oh,
a this
DNKY, which stands for this.
yeah, and then and then Core just says, oh, only in New York. And I'm like, yeah, like literally that's something that probably would happen in New York City, because it's just that city is a character of itself. And that the comment the cop makes when they like run into the fake police officer who's like, oh, there's a hostage situation, you see, he says about the gunpowder. I'm like, his
Invented by the
reaction, he's like,
Chinese.
yeah, he's just like, yeah, his reaction of just like, okay, they just keep going, they just keep walking. Yeah, and that and later that episode too, like after the whole rehearsal's over, the fact that he rehearsed the
God.
post scripture of what they were like, of the actual event of what they were working up to, and Nathan was like, should I tell him that I did this kind of not so good thing to this man I've grown to, um who I've kind of grown a bond with? That's the thing, he kind of,
Mhm.
Nathan, even in Nathan For You, he's always like, Nathan had this whole like character arc of like finding, like seeking just kind of human
He's lonely
companionship.
the entire
Yeah,
time, and
he's
then that
lonely.
feeds into this one too.
It does, it really does. And he he opts out to lie like Core did, I guess, by the end of it, with withholding God, even finding out all the answers by staging a fucking interview with the bar owner and getting him to spill the answers just because, like, I don't even know. I remember how he did it, but he just got him to
No,
sit in front
that's
of
what
a
it is. It
camera
was an
for the
interview.
interview.
He was just like,
Yeah,
"Hey, we wanted someone who seems like they understand how to handle trivia. Can you
yeah.
show us some trivia questions?" Like,
God,
it's so.
it.
This is what I'm talking about. What you're talking about with all of the loneliness. It's like, is that a Nathan character, or is that Nathan, or is that Nathan? Is that Nathan commenting on the Nathan character, or is the character Nathan? Like, it's such a fucking mess of like, I want to try to analyze this, but every time my brain goes, wait, but are we even starting from the right zero? Are we even starting from the fact that, is this Nathan the character, or is it Nathan? Are they both lonely? Is only the character lonely? And I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
Dorian, you've been
it's
here for a while. Do you have anything, or do you just feel as woefully out of depth like I do?
No, no. Honestly, no.
That's it?
Uh, honestly, no. I mean, it's such man, it's such a mind fuck, this show, and it's so hard to place into words exactly what's going on with it. I will say, I really want to check out the what's the Kaufman movie again, sorry?
Synecdoche, New
Kentucky, New
York.
York.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
really want to check that out now at some point. Of course, lovely Canada, it's not available fucking anywhere here. So that's been a struggle with that for a
Yeah.
while, but definitely something I do want to watch eventually. Um, and that's just it. And this has pushed me further to hearing that, because apparently this is very similar to that. So that's cool. Um, and I guess the only other really thought I have, which I'm just curious what they're gonna do now going forward, because I feel like this is the type of, like, again, you want to bust out your flow chart and your eye and his little fucking computer he carries around with him with a nice little strap around his head, and like flow charts everything out with 3,000 different ways it could go. That's kind of how I feel right now about season 2. There's so many different things that could happen. They could pick right up off where season 1 left. They could try to hit the brakes and kind of reset things for season 2. I have no idea what the fuck they're going to do with this show, and I don't even want to pretend to guess, because it's like you said like a minute ago, like we're playing with the deck against us. Like, we're trying to figure out what's going on here, but we can't even figure out the basics. And like the most basic of basic shit is Nathan playing himself, or is he a character? You just said it. We don't fucking know. We have no idea what is real, what is not real. And it really, I already had a headache before I started this recording today. It's worse now. and it's literally because trying to make any um conceivable sense of what's happening here is very challenging. And if you watch this again, if you're listening to this and you haven't watched it, fuck you. But
No,
if
Jesus
you,
Christ! How they imagine being on the show being lost? Imagine
yeah,
us being lost, and now imagine the person listening to this and how lost they are.
Yeah.
exactly. But assuming you have watched this and you're listening to this, then you know exactly what we're talking about. Like, you just it's so
What the
hard,
fuck is this show?
and it hurts. It really hurts. And I think, I forget who said it. One of you guys said it, but I think it is the evolution of Nathan for you. You're bang on. It's just, I don't know if we were ready for it, man.
God, I don't think anyone even on the show was ready for any of it,
No,
including
I don't
Nathan.
think Nathan himself was fucking ready for this, man.
Yeah.
Oh man, I think what you said about season 2, by the way, is very what makes me excited going forward, because this is the first time in a long time where there's kind of this really big air of uncertainty of where it's going next,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
Fuck
what
if
do
I know.
you how do you go from here? And
Yeah.
like Nathan, I'm sure Nathan Fielder and his writers, like his whoever's the writers credits on the show, I'm sure they've already had ideas kicking around, or they already have something maybe thought out. Who knows? But this is the first time in a long time where I sat there like, how the fuck do you go from here? What the
Yeah.
how, where, when, why? Like, just God, I look forward to it.
Oh, same.
But no matter how long it takes to come out, I don't know how long this whole thing actually took because, um, just given the ambition that this the how incredibly ambitious this show was to begin with, and like holy shit, like I can imagine it's going to take a while, and I'm fine with that because I'll have to be mentally prepared for that when the time comes. But uh God,
I'm almost like,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, I'm very much looking forward to it, but I'm almost not, because this show is stressful and it shouldn't be so stressful, but it really is, just because this is, like I said, it's different because yes, in Nathan For You, there's a lot of cringe comedy and it's hard to watch at times, but this is just like, what are you guys fucking doing? What are you doing?
Me in season 2, I don't know what the hell it's gonna be. I don't even think I want to venture a guess as
Yeah,
to where it
it's
can even go. My only question is Nathan a daddy now? That is like literally it. Are they going to come back to that? Are we gonna get to season 2 and we're just gonna see that Nathan didn't adopt the kid, and I'm just like, okay, either scenario of he adopts the kid or he doesn't adopt the kid, basically it ends up complicating the reality of the TV show even more. So it just means that if they even dump the kid like completely and never bring him up again, it just complicates the reality again. It's like, okay, so is Nathan actually not lonely? Like, what is going on here? Then that just means, okay, so it is Nathan the character who's lonely and not Nathan. It's just...
season, you know how season 2 should start? Season 2 should just start with fucking Nathan in a psychiatrist chair with some shrink trying to figure out what the fuck's going on with this guy's head because he's had some sort of relapse and fallen into a fantasy world. That's where fucking season 2 should go.
The head of the hospital is going to talk to Nathan's therapist, and they're just going to be like, okay, tell me, what's wrong with him? And then the therapist opens their mouth and go, my name is Nathan Fielder. I graduated from... It's like, oh god, Nathan's consciousness has jumped.
I do think there's an interesting that's the thing out of like all this discussion so far, and kind of dissecting some of the characters and moments and stuff. I do think there's an interesting conversation to be had about this whole premise itself of like we do see the consequences for everybody of both good and bad with like of the whole idea of a constructed fantasy to begin with, um because that's ultimately what it turns into. It goes from being this simulation to help others to ultimately ending up being this fantasy constructed for the the star and creator of the series who gets kind of trapped in his own world, and he's trying to ultimately feel something real by the end of it, and he realizes like, oh, like no matter how hard we try here, and no matter how big the budget is and have all this set work going on, and like all these, you could even see like they have like a farm outside, and they're even during the night, the fast up the time and everything that they're the whole timeline they're on, they're like pitting in different stages of the fruit and vegetables that are being planted and being like, okay, so they're a seed this day, tomorrow they're going to be like this much grown today, so grab this during the middle of the night, replace all this stuff, and tomorrow morning it's like almost ready to be picked.
Just imagine working for Warner Brothers and you're just hanging around. You're like, yeah, I do set work for whatever this company needs me. And they're like, yeah, we're going to send you over to HBO. And then there's like, oh, yeah, by the way, this is what you're going to do today. You're going to rip out these plants and you're going to put in some carrots that we just bought from the grocery store. And you're just like, what show am I working on? There's so much in this show that you just have to imagine everyone who's behind the camera is just always looking at Nathan like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? How is this even going to coalesce into anything? Like, also, how about we talk about, okay, is Nathan emotionally stunted, and that's also part of the reason for all of this? Like, is that another thing?
I mean, maybe. This is the problem. We really, even from Nathan For You, we guessed he was playing a character, and I think he is definitely playing a character and embellishing some of it up. but what do we actually know about him? Because even like when you want to try to get a glimpse into this fucker's life with, let's say, oh, I don't know, a talk show interview, he turns that into a fucking game. So we don't fucking know, man. Like, we really don't know shit. And yeah, like my guess is that my guess is that he's so fucking insane that some of this is real and it just sort of bleeds through. Don't know.
Are we done? Like, I don't know what else I can say.
The only other thing I want to say is shout out to apparently like half of these actors now, or actors, I shouldn't say actors, whatever the fuck they are.
People.
But shout out to half of these people being on Cameo now. Make your money,
Yes.
smart ass moves.
Good. Good.
Sam, anything that you want to say before you leave?
Closing thoughts. Yeah, genuinely fantastic show. Kind of profound in its own way. It's one of the kind of, it's, you know, it feels a little cliche to call it maybe groundbreaking, but that's what it is. It's pretty fucking extraordinarily insane, and there's nothing else quite like it. I know there's so much more that could be said, but for the sake of everyone's sanity and time, that could be discussed when maybe season 2 drops, and maybe we'll have more time and thoughts by then, and recovered by then, and ready to be emotionally put through the ringer one more time. But yeah, no, it's one of the best pieces of television art media I've watched in quite some time, and God, I want more people to take risks like this. Just throw some insane people some money and let them do it.
Thank you, HBO. God bless you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nathan Fielder. Thank you, HBO.
Thank you.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Thank you, Nathan Fielder.
All right. Okay. Sam, just close out. You're good. I'm pretty sure the recording is gonna be fine. All right. Bye, Bandicoot.
Sam. I'm gonna ask you something.
Oh, what a nice young man. I can't believe he just disconnected and then it apparently cut the recording and started a new one. Okay.
Okay. Might have an issue.
What?
Okay. Well, good news and bad news. So I noticed while that entire thing was going on, you know my little wavy thing?
Yeah.
Like you're talking, it shows the wave thing.
Yeah.
You know it wasn't, nothing was happening.
Sick.
So I did start recording and now it's showing up. So I did start recording in Audacity.
It did show up on my end. So
did it show
I think we'll be fine. Yeah.
Did it show up on your end during the last one?
Yeah.
Okay, then maybe we're fine then. In case I did start recording in Audacity, but I didn't until like 9 minutes in. So if for some crazy reason there's lost audio, there's gonna be like 9 minutes of lost audio. But just
it's okay. I'll just probably kill myself. I will actually literally just shoot myself, and I'll make sure that my brain just seeps into the keyboard, and then suddenly now we have Passive Pixel as his first victim. Well, probably not the first victim. We have JT who watched Resident Evil because of the show, so maybe second victim. All right. That was an hour.
Let's go.
Shit. Yeah. All right. Table of contents. Sopranos season 2. How to Train Your Dragon. Nathan For You. We covered that. I don't need to go over that again. Better Call Saul. Hell or High Water. Rosemary's Baby. Tu Mama Tambien. The Last Samurai. House of the Dragon. The Rehearsal, but we already recorded that. Pokemon Colosseum. Sifu and Ghostrunner. Dorian, what is your list?
All right, we got Persona 3 FES, Persona 3 Dancing, The Rehearsal. We did that.
Yep.
Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad, Bodies, Stalker, Tu Mama Tambien,
I hate
Reprise, Widows, RRR, Manchester by the Sea, Paddington 2, After Yang, Life of Pi, Demolition, The Killing, Eyes Wide Shut, Cache, Benny's Video, Fish Tank, and 3,000 Years of Longing.
All right, here's what I recommend that we do, because I want this to be, close to 2.5 hours, even though we already did 1 hour. So which means, an hour and a half. Let's go ahead and knock out the stuff that we don't have much to say. How does that sound?
Fuck you, microphone. Yes, let's do that.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so let me go ahead and get let's do Ghostrunner just because I've only played like 2 hours of it. Ghostrunner fun. I like moving fast. I like being a samurai ninja with the sword and shit. It feels like it's trying to have a story. Shut up. You don't really need to have a story. I don't need a backdrop. You honestly could have just left this levels for me to run through and kill things and I would have fun. Honestly, it's just like this game feels like they played the trial run at the beginning of Titanfall 2 and they're like, okay, what if no gun and a sword? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Excuse me. Absolutely. I'm okay with that. I'm going to keep playing it, but also I don't think video games have been doing much for me. So, Dorian, do you have any reasons to ever think about Ghost Runner or no?
No, I thought you meant Ghostwire Tokyo, and I was like, I thought you dropped that, but you're talking about a completely different game, so I got nothing.
Yeah, okay, understandable. Ghost Runner,
Yeah.
it's a sword goes swoosh out of 10.
All right. Stalker. Look, I hate to put Stalker here, but this is another one of those like Godfather type movies where it's like, what the fuck are you gonna say about this? This is a Stone Cold classic by Andrei Tarkovsky. This is my first Andrei Tarkovsky movie. Crazy ass fucking movie. Some crazy stories that I didn't even know about this. Like this movie literally killed the man. That's
Holy
nuts.
shit, what?
Yeah, literally nuts. Like there was some like water like fountains they filmed in, and there was contaminated water, and yeah, they all died of cancer later because of that. So yay.
Oh my god.
Yeah, look, this movie's fantastic, but me talking about it does such a huge disservice because there are much more qualified people that have talked about this movie in hours and hours and hours. It was a very good movie. It's the one I would definitely have to sort of rewatch and I think kind of learn a bit more about it and gain a higher appreciation for it. But what's here is really great. I definitely plan on getting the Criterion one day, and I mean it's Tarkovsky. Love the movie. I'm definitely excited to check out Soul Hours now soon. So yeah.
All right, Stalker. That one is on HBO Max. I am adding it to my watch list. My score is going to be that movie gave me cancer out of 10.
It's an 8 out of 10. That's a great score, by the way.
Okay, let's see. How to Train Your Dragon. I'm gonna go ahead and knock this one out early because I talked a lot about the second one and the third one last episode. The first movie is good. It is very good, although it feels like it feels weird to say this because I'm never someone who wants you to go back to a movie and touch it up. I kind of wish that there was some way to go back and touch this movie up because it's very weird. Even though this movie came out in 2010, it feels like the animation is off. Like the actual animation and the movements and all of it looks just a little bit off, and I can't really put my finger on it. It feels like it's right on the cusp of right before it was ready to just look like timeless, like the second one and third one do. Like the second one and third one still feel like they look very good. It's just something that was bothering me about the first one. It is still a good movie though, and I think that there are two flying scenes in the first one that outclass any of the flying scenes in the second one and the third one. It is still a very good movie. I am happy to say that is on my shelf. Of course, because I make things difficult for myself, I am selling the Steelbook for How to Train Your Dragon 1. I bought the Steelbook for How to Train Your Dragon 3 because the Steelbook for How to Train Your Dragon 3 is the best one. I will not be keeping How to Train Your Dragon 3, and I am putting How to Train Your Dragon 1 and 2 in the Steelbook for 3. Of course, I can't ever make it that easy for myself. How to Train Your Dragon, yeah, very good. It's on the shelf now. I'm going to go ahead and give it a Toothless is adorable out of 10. Dorian, anything about this? Do you care about the series at all?
I do want to watch.
Are you
No,
curious?
I do want to watch it one day. Still haven't, so it's still a must. We'll watch one day out of 10.
Okay, back to you.
Reprise by Joachim Trier, the final Trier, excuse me, the final movie of the Oslo trilogy. Look, I'm gonna be honest, I kind of forgot I watched this, but it was actually I liked it. It just a lot of movies blur together. I've seen a couple of his now recently, and this was my least favorite of the movies. So the Oslo trilogy is this movie, Oslo August 31st, and The Worst Person in the World. This is definitely my least favorite of the three, but it's still a pretty good movie. Definitely a good start for this director. Andres Danielson Lee is probably actually one of my favorite foreign actors. I've really come to like a lot of his work, and I think he's been great in everything I've seen him in. So shout out to that man. This is just kind of a good, almost like little slice of life story. Lots of competition between two young friends and kind of seeing the paths they go down and how they differentiate. Solid stuff. I'd probably watch it again one day. But yeah, it's the worst of the three for me, so that's kind of why it's sitting there. But good stuff. 7 out of 10.
I'm not even going to pretend to remember what you were talking about. So I'm going to give that a sure out of 10.
Awesome.
Sifu. I tried Sifu for about 2 or 3 hours. I'm filtered. I am officially filtered. I will not be going back to this game. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I'm probably going to sell it. Maybe I can even return it. I don't know. To go more into depth with Sifu. So Sifu is a brawler. It is very focused on hand-to-hand combat and parries. I like that, but the problem is that very early on in the game, it's just like a small tutorial prelude section. And I was playing it, I'm like, okay, I can kind of get down with this. And then they introduce the credits and all that, and they have you fight every single boss in the game. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. You're showing me who the people are going to be that I'm supposed to beat. I'm playing it, and they're like, these are the mechanics you're going to use to beat them. And there was up on the joystick, down plus triangle. And I was like, oh no. My one nemesis that I've had my entire life, joystick-based fighting games. And that's the thing. You're not using the joystick entirely. It's just that there are specific moves that you are going to need to beat these bosses. You're not going to be able to just button mash and dodge roll and, do the standard stuff, block, parry. You will need to do these moves because dodging and blocking and parrying won't be enough. I'm like, oh no. So I got to the first boss and I was like, okay, all right, this is fine. I get to the second boss and I get my ass handed to me because I am not doing the proper dodging, like the up on the joystick, down triangle. And I'm just like, I don't want to put the time into figuring this out. Of course, some people on the Discord were just like, it's late, try tomorrow. I didn't try yesterday. Yesterday would have been tomorrow. I tried 2 days later. No, I'm fine. Also, another thing, this game is kind of heavy on parries, but the thing is that parrying and blocking are on the same button, and I don't know if I have the right feedback to let me know if I blocked or I parried. So I just end up spamming the block button and just hoping that I get a proper parry. And I don't know if you can parry them at the beginning of a combo or if it's just harder, or you can only parry them at the end. I just don't understand what I'm supposed to be doing in the game to succeed. And then not only am I not motivated to figure that out, but the fact for me to figure that out and then only to then get filtered at the boss because it's a technique that my fingers are just too dumb to understand, I'm filtered. I just have to accept that this one is just going to pass me by no matter how fun it is to just fight the regular enemies. Getting to a boss and doing a mechanic that I don't like, joystick movements like that. I really don't. Like, that's why I don't really like Street Fighter. It's like, oh man, quarter turn. Like, I don't want to deal with that. So Sifu, filtered out of 10. Now, Dorian, I know you had some mild interest in this one. Have you been swayed away by my experience with it, or?
No, I still think I do want to try it, but it's gonna have to be really, really, really cheap. Like, it just, for me, I'm like, from everything you've said, I'm like 93% sure I'm gonna be filtered too. So I'm not gonna pay anything more than I have to for a 93% chance of filtering. So if it ever gets cheap enough to the point where one day I do want to try it, maybe, but I'm good for now.
Okay, got it. Your turn then.
Okay, Widows. This is directed by Steve McQueen. 2018 thriller with Viola Davis, Michelle Rodriguez, Elizabeth Debicki. Colin Farrell's here too. Really good cast actually of people. This is my first Steve McQueen movie. He's made a few that I've actually really wanted to watch for a while, so I decided to start here because I was told this is one of his most accessible ones. Funny enough, I remember the trailer for this movie being played all the time, and I thought the trailer looked terrible, so I never watched it, never thought of watching it. But that trailer did it dirty. It's actually a really great movie. Just really smartly written, really well acted. Even even if some of it was fairly predictable at how it was going to turn out, it still was a good enough ride that I really enjoyed it. But I mean, it's nothing that's gonna like absolutely light your world on fire. It's just a really goddamn solidly acted thriller, where kind of heist movie and that sort of stuff. And I really like Viola Davis. I think she's a phenomenal actress. So I will take any excuse I can to watch her. But yeah, great stuff. I enjoyed it. 8 out of 10.
Widows. I don't know if I ever want to watch this. He's only directed 4 movies. Hunger, which I've never heard of. 12 Years a Slave, which I have watched. And honestly, when I think about it, it's like, okay, that was another slavery movie. That was it. I don't like it's okay, fine. Yeah, all right. But there is one movie of his that I didn't even realize he directed that I'm very interested in, which is Shame. Have you heard of Shame?
I have, yes.
Yes, no. So it's the Michael Fassbender penis movie, and it's like, okay, I am rather curious about that one. Take a guess as to why. So yeah, Widows. I feel like I would have to see Shame and be completely blown away from me to be like, okay, yeah, you know what? I want to watch the next one. So yeah, Widows. Bad trailer. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, you got really fucked over on that one. Out of 10.
All right. Oh, sorry. Still you.
Oh yeah, okay.
You're
By
not.
the way, we're running a hurry up. Do you feel like your list is like slowly cutting down on the ones that you don't want to talk about, or how you feeling right now?
I've still got ones that I don't have that much to say. So when you're out of ones you're good with, let me know and I can bang out the rest of mine. But yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do this one then, since it's very hard for me to talk about it just by season.
Sure.
But Sopranos season
yeah.
2, yeah, exactly. Show is still very good. I don't really know what I can say about this, because even when I think about it, it's really hard for me to remember what I want to talk about it with. You know what? I'm going to go in a different direction. I'm going to go ahead and bring up season 3. Keep in mind, I'm not mentioning whenever I start a season. I'm just waiting until I finish it. But yes, I've started season 3 as well. I just want to bring this up. Why did they have to CG the Tony's mom? Like, I understand that she died. I just
Yeah.
feel like that is a forced error. Like, couldn't you just have it off screen? Just like, yeah, she died, she went back to her home planet. Like, there are ways around that besides spending as much as a TV budget in the early 2000s to CGI deleted scenes of her lines to make something work. It's like, this is just an unforced error. If she was just going to end up not being in the show anyways, you really didn't need to do that. So yeah, Sopranos season 2, it's still very good. I still want to keep watching it. Unrelated, I found someone selling the entire Blu-ray box set for The Sopranos for $30, because I would be very shocked if I get to the end and I don't like the show enough to have it. So I was like, well, screw it, I'll buy it for $30 because it's usually $80 anyway. So yeah, forget about it. Out of 10.
Tony the Goat out of 10.
Understandable.
RRR, Rise, Roar, Revolt. So this is a 3-hour Indian Bollywood epic sort of action movie. A lot of hype, a lot of hoo-ha for this. It's not made by Netflix, but it's one of those movies that like appeared on Netflix and people started discovering it and going crazy for it, like it's the first foreign movie they ever watched. Kind of reminds me a lot of Squid Games in that way, where I think like this is like a lot of people's like entry into certain things, and like they're kind of overhyping it a bit, which don't get me wrong.
The rest of the world make a movie?
Yeah, which don't get me wrong, like Squid Games, I think this is pretty good. I don't think it's horrible. I just think people are going nuts with it. Like as of right now, this is the 221st best movie on the Letterboxd top 250 list. I'm like, no, come on, guys, it's not that good. It's not that good. But it was fun. I mean, it's ridiculous. If you've ever seen a Bollywood movie before, you kind of know what to expect, though. Like, there's a lot of ridiculous, over the top action set pieces, sequences, and then 3 minutes later, it'll bust out into a big song and dance. So it's good stuff. It's really enjoyable, but nothing I personally haven't seen before. So 7 out of 10, good stuff.
You see, now, are you taking this movie seriously, or is it what you expect a Bollywood movie to be because of Twitter clips?
Yeah, no, I've seen other Bollywood movies. This is my first Bollywood movie.
Okay, no, I'm asking for me. Like, is it?
Oh, for you. No, I would definitely take it seriously. Like, I think it's a very
Okay.
like I think you would probably honestly have more fun than I would if you can get over that runtime. Because I'm going to be honest, the movie doesn't need to be 3 hours long, so it does feel a little stretched. But I know you kind of like some of that ridiculous over the top stuff, and this movie has a lot of it. So
Okay, yeah, that's what I was asking. Like, because you've seen those Twitter clips of like where physics just no longer exists. Like this
yeah,
man, he's driving very fast. He hard turns. He steps out of the car, and he is just feet planted firmly on the ground. He shoots a fucking jet, and then he jumps over the jet before it explodes on him. Like, if it is that kind of ridiculous, cool. But also, and I don't know if I can do 3 hours of what I would consider a joke. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. No, that's why I said that's going to be the stumbling block for you. If you can get over that, I think you'd have fun with it. But yeah, I don't know if you would.
Who the fuck knows when out of 10? That's a better way to say it.
There we go.
Let me see. So Sopranos. Better Call Saul I'm actually going to want to talk about.
Yeah.
Hell or High Water. I'm going to bring up Hell or High Water because I'm going to punt this until you receive the package, and then we'll probably discuss it then. So yeah, Hell or High Water.
I can do a rewatch too if you want. That's fine.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. I mean, you bought it, so like, are you not going to watch it when you get it?
Oh, I've already seen it.
Oh, okay. So should we?
But I'll rewatch it. I'll rewatch it. I like it. So,
Did you plan on rewatching it when you got it, or no?
Yes. I was 50-50 on whether it was because I didn't watch it that long ago, but I did not watch it in beautiful 4K Dolby Vision, so I should rewatch it for sure.
Fair enough. Okay, punting. Then there we go. I've got everything that I actually want to discuss. So here from here, just start running through.
Okay, so I got 4 more that I'll just get rid of quickly here.
Go for it.
Life of Pi. Life of Pi. This is directed by Ang Lee. This was a solid movie. It didn't quite hit super hard for me. I don't know if I'd watch it again, but I did really enjoy my time with it. Visually, I think it's absolutely stunning. There's a lot of gorgeous stuff here. This looked great on Disney Plus in 4K. It was just a phenomenal looking film. It had a really cool vibe to it, everything like that. It was enjoyable. I just didn't walk away wowed from it personally. Especially compared to something like, I mean, it's such a weird comparison. They're such completely different movies, but Brokeback Mountain from Ang Lee, which, it held up really well for me. And I was like really invested in that movie. I wasn't quite as invested here because I kind of knew what was going to happen here. I do like some of the stuff they do here, especially kind of playing on, well, is what he's telling the truth, or is this all what he just told himself to make him feel better? But there's a lot of good stuff here, and like I said, really cool visuals. So definitely enjoyable. Certainly not half a star out of 5. I don't know who would give that rating to this movie.
We have no idea who. We're still on the lookout to find out who did that.
But yeah, it's a solid 3 out of 5 for me. I enjoyed my time with it.
And inside joke, people, I apologize. I usually don't like having those in here, but when you have someone who doesn't adhere to that, what can I really do? Life of Pi, I actually don't think I've watched this movie legally. So that means I probably never watched it in the proper quality that I want to. I would say if I could find a 4K copy for $10, I would probably watch it again, but I just never see anyone selling this movie. Off of my mind, like, this is a movie that I watched very early on, like I want to say contemporary. So let's just say I don't think I have the film brain that I do have now. Even then, I never really took it as a movie of like, oh, let's take this literally, let's watch it as a character piece. I think even then it was more of just the visual aspect of the movie that really was pulling me in. I think if even then, when I don't think my brain was wired like it is now, I think if I were to watch it now, I may like it even more. But again, I'm not going well, I was about to say a hair over 10, but honestly, if it's 10 in taxes, 10 free shipping, like, okay, cool, I'll go a little bit over $10, but $10 subtotal I will not go over. Life of Pi is gonna be a the aspect ratio suddenly goes 4:3 because fishes are flying out of 10.
Love aspect ratio changes. Shout out to Trey Edward Schultz.
Absolutely.
Demolition. So I'm doing this one a little bit dirty actually because I really like this movie, but cuts got to be made. This is directed by Jean-Marc Vallée, who also, you might know, directed Dallas Buyers Club, which I still haven't seen. Definitely on my list, and I want to watch that. Starring Jake Gyllenhaal.
Of course.
and Naomi Watts, who I also really, really, really like. I actually really, really like this movie. It's pretty mixed, and I actually understand why this is so mixed, because narratively and like just the way this movie's structured, it's kind of a fucking mess at times. It's really weird. But there's something, it just suits it so well, because the entire movie is coming to terms with grief and how people handle it differently. And the fact that it's so sloppy and just kind of out of place, I mean, it kind of makes sense in some weird way. So I really appreciated that about this. I mean, Jake Gyllenhaal, say what you want about him. I'm obviously a huge simp for him, but he's really good in this one. He puts in a really great performance, and the movie's basically anchored by him here. And yeah, I don't know, it was a very unique movie. Anything that talks about grief and kind of that sort of like how people are affected by that, I'm always going to be a sucker for Hello Leftovers. So it's a topic I find super interesting for whatever reason, and this was a unique take on it, so I enjoyed it. 8 out of 10.
It's very funny to me whenever you just bring up Jake Gyllenhaal and you're like, well, I know some people are gonna like this one, but I do, and I'm just like, I wonder fucking why. I wonder why. I don't know. I'm looking at this movie. It exists. It's like, okay, am I ever gonna watch this? I doubt it. But every single time I saw this man, I was like, I think that's the Big Little Lies guy. And I just wasn't sure until literally right now.
It is.
And I
I've
realized
never seen that, so yeah.
You
But I've heard
don't
that's
need
popular.
to. Big Little Lies is the opening, like the opening track is nice. I like it, but really it's just like I don't even know. It's just it feels like, what if HBO did a CW show about middle-aged women with kids in a really rich part of California? Like that's
Okay.
really it.
Yeah. I'm good.
It's fine, whatever. Honestly, like watching it as just one season, it's like, okay, cool, that was fine, whatever. And then they had a second season, like, why the fuck did you even do this? Although he was involved with Sharp Objects, though, so like I know that you like Sharp Objects, right? You've talked to me about that before.
No, I don't know what that is.
No, who the fuck has talked to me about Sharp Objects then? Oh, well, whatever. I've heard very good things about Sharp Objects, so maybe his name isn't completely tainted. Maybe I just want to watch Sharp Objects and then decide from there if I want to watch some of his movies. So my score is going to be Sharp Object out of 10.
All right. Fish Tank. This is directed by Andrea Arnold, who also did American Honey, which I watched last week. The stars Katie Jarvis, and apparently this is actually one of Michael Fassbender's first roles too, or one of the ones he was most known for. It was kind of his breakout role, so to speak. But he's in here too, and really, really great, by the way, as he always is. Good movie, really good. I didn't enjoy it quite as much as American Honey, but I definitely do like this director. She's got a good style to her. It's basically just about a 15-year-old girl who's living life and having a fucking tough go of a man. And it's just, you just watch it and you kind of know where things are going, and you're like, oh man, I hope it doesn't go this way. I hope it doesn't go this way. Please don't go this way. And now fucking it goes away. And you're just like, ah, fuck me. And then it just kind of gets really dark for a bit, and then it doesn't go as dark as it probably should, and kind of has a weird ending. So yeah, solid movie. I'd watch it again sometime, but definitely a little step below American Honey, but I do like the director, so good shit. Also, shout out to Katie Jarvis for her. Apparently the casting for her, like the casters or whatever, they literally, she was having on the street having an argument with her boyfriend, and I guess some casting people like walked by and overheard it and like fucking hired her and did this movie with her. So nuts, not crazy story, but true. So yeah, good stuff.
Legend.
7 out of 10.
What movie was it again? Hunger?
Fish Tank.
Fish Tank. Okay, why the hell did that not even show up? Oh, Fish Tank is right below Inglourious Bastards. That's why. Okay. No, that's the thing, because I was looking at his filmography and I'm just like, damn, I can't remember what title it was. Okay, British drama. Okay, so what exactly is the synopsis of this one?
Basically, how do I explain it? Yeah, young girl going through teenage bullshit. I mean, really, that's what it is. She's argumentative little bitch, but she also has like terrible parenting. Her mother brings home a new boyfriend, and things change. That's the best thing I could say.
Okay, you know what? Let's go ahead and check. Fish Tank. Are you streaming anywhere? Oh, you are actually streaming? Yeah. Okay. You know what? We're just gonna add you to the wait. Criterion. Why the fuck does the Criterion channel have it?
Oh,
Oh,
that's weird. It wasn't on. It's on Mubi in Canada. We don't even know on Criterion here.
dude, this is the weirdest assortment. Like this is. There are 3 Venn diagrams. One of them is Peacock Premium, the other one is Plex, and the other one is Criterion Channel. And right in the center is Fish Tank. What
Yeah,
the fuck?
yeah, that's a bizarre one.
Oh, weird Venn diagram out of 10. Also, while I was looking through Michael Fassbender's Wikipedia, did you know that this man likes racing cars?
No.
Yeah, part of his Wikipedia page is complete 24 hours of Le Mans results. So this man was racing in Le Mans.
Really fucking cool.
That-
Michael Fassbender just seems like a really fucking cool dude and a great actor. So, shout out to Michael
Fassbender has expressed an interest in motorsports since his youth, stating in 2020, even before I started acting, I had a big dream to go racing. Fucking dope.
Michael Fassbender should express an interest in being Mr. Freeze for Matt Reeves' The Batman trilogy. That's what he should express a fucking interest in.
I might be a little bit hard about that idea. I don't.
Yeah, I'm coming. Okay, last one. 3,000 Years of Longing. So this is directed by George Miller, obviously Mad Max man. He's making a fantasy romantic drama, just what you'd expect out of him. Hey, this movie was fine. It definitely has issues though. First of all, Tilda Swinton and Idris Elba are basically just like talking to each other this entire movie, and there's a certain charm to that where they're just really great. Like they have good chemistry together. They're telling stories, and like I love that part of this movie. Like like the first 2/3 of this movie, great stuff. Problem is, there's a final act of this movie that's really rushed and not very good at all, and that's kind of where the movie falls apart. I'm not sure if it's just I don't know, man. Like I don't know why it's so rushed and feels so short. It just feels incomplete, and then the ending itself just kind of falls with a thud and just kind of stumbles across the finish line. So it's a shame because like the first 2/3 of this movie, it's cooking up something pretty special. But as it is, because of that ending, I don't think I'd ever watch it again. So 3 out of 5.
No, I don't know, man. I'm fine. Just my score is going to be "Wake Me Up for the Furiosa" prequel out of 10.
Fair enough. All right, that is okay. So I've still got a big chunk. Like, how many do you have left now?
All right. Better Call Saul we share. Rosemary's Baby, Tu Mama Tambien we share. The Last Samurai, House of Dragon, Pokemon Colosseum. So I just read them out. I wasn't even counting.
Oh shit! How many? I didn't count.
Okay. No, that's neither was I. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
That's including the ones we share?
Yes.
Okay, and there's 2 we share, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I gotta still bang through a lot more here. There's a few I wanted to talk a bit more about, but I'll get through them as quick as I can here.
No,
so
it's
let
fine.
me go through some more stuff. I got a lot of bundles here though, so we'll get through some of this. All right.
Yeah,
All right.
fine.
So let's do the Manchester by the Sea Paddington 2
Yes.
block.
I mean, no.
So we'll start with Manchester by the Sea, directed by Kenneth Lonergan. Lonergan.
I'm not looking that up to help you. You're drowning
you
on
know
this
me,
one.
You know me in names. He hasn't done a lot of movies. I actually added one of his other ones, Margaret, to my watch list. So maybe I'll watch that eventually. It's on Disney Plus. I love that. But yeah, this is starring Casey Affleck, Michelle Williams, Kyle Chandler, Lucas Hedges. Lots of good talent here. Yeah, so this movie is basically like if you just took like if you took a man and like sapped him of like any sort of sense to live, any sense of soul, any sense of purpose, any sense of happiness, and you put that into a bottle and shook it around with some more depression on top of it. That's basically this movie. It's really good. It's really well made. It's excellent. I don't have a lot of negative things to say about it. I actually wasn't as fucked up about it as I thought, but it just kind of left me feeling like, oh, wow, life really does fucking suck, huh? and that's kind of where I went with this. It wasn't like Grave of the Fireflies where I was like just a fucking crying, blubbering mess at the end of that. This one just left me feeling a little bit dead, which shout out to Feeling Dead. We love that. But yeah, no, I mean, I don't want to really, I mean, we can go into spoilers if you want, but I mean, it's just some of the stuff in this movie is fucking heartbreaking and quite harrowing. And when you're kind of like, it's made in a way that it's very smart, because you're wondering, what the fuck's wrong with this guy? Like, why is he such a fucking bitch? And you kind of get to like what happened. You're like,
Oh.
sorry, man.
I regret everything I've said. My condolences.
Yeah, exactly. So really, really great movie, though, incredibly well made. And yeah, definitely definitely a soul sucker.
All right. I will want to go into spoilers because there are two scenes that I want to bring up, but non-spoiler. Yeah, this movie is just like, hey, have you ever just wanted your emotions gut punched? Here you go, Manchester by the Sea. And to tell you anything would be, it just would give it away. So I'm just going to give a brief synopsis. It is a very depressed man who is now in charge of his nephew, is it, right?
No, yes.
Okay, all right. Yeah, that's good enough. And familiar things and wounds and stuff. So there we go. Very good movie. Just know that if you watch this is probably one that potentially can ruin your day. So be ready for that. So 3, 2, 1. How about that fucking scene when he grabs the cop's gun, shoots it, but the safety's on, and yeah.
This entire segment could just be us going back and forth and saying, yeah, for like 5 minutes. They're really good.
How about that scene at the end when they're just both crying, and it's probably the first time they've accepted that their children are dead?
Yeah. It's hard, man. The entire reveal when it's like he gets there, his wife gets like stretchered off into an ambulance, and like he's just watching as like these body bags of his kids are being dragged out, and you're just like, oh, kill me. This is not fun anymore.
Casey Affleck just has like the perfect sad sack face.
Yep. Yeah. Well, this is the second one too. He did what's the fucking a Ghost Story where he's basically fucking like, this is twice now he's just played a shell of a depressed man.
I
Like,
mean, we
Jesus
could probably
Christ.
count him in Inception. No, not Interstellar too, if we really wanted to.
Yeah, true. Fuck, I always forget that's him in Interstellar, but yeah, it is.
Him and good old Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah, I both of them. I always forget they're both in the same fucking character.
That what I love about that character specifically is that goddamn well that Matthew McConaughey's character probably doesn't even remember he has a son. So
I know.
for us,
Murph. All he cared about was Murph.
Murph! What about your son? Who?
Where's Murph?
It's so good because when those are two big actors playing the same character, and the movie just does not give a shit about that character, so it just ends up becoming even funnier. But that's at least the only bit of levity that we can have when talking about Manchester by the Sea. Jesus Christ, that fucking movie.
Yeah.
Depression out of 10.
Yeah, 8 out of 10. So let's transition right into Paddington 2, which of course I will keep spoiler free for you, good sir, because you will be cracking this open in case of emergency one of these days.
Yeah.
But yeah, after that I was like, well, time for something cheerful. So this was the plan: Manchester by the Sea and Paddington 2, and Paddington 2 lived up. It's even somehow better than the first one. It's wonderful. It's heartwarming. It's hilarious. There's just Hugh Grant is the perfect guy, villain here, foil for Mr. Paddington, and they somehow just make everything twice as sweet. I mean, the only minor complaint, and I mean minorest of complaints, and this is a good thing though, really, is that when it ended, I'm like, oh, that's it, I wanted more. And it's like, yeah, I mean, that's like, I mean, if that's the biggest complaint I can levy about a movie, then it's doing pretty good, because that means it was just so good I wanted a tiny bit more from it, because it just ends kind of, not abruptly, but it just is like, oh man, it's ending right there. There's no more. That's it. It's over. I hope Paddington 3, a little risky, different director, different writer. So we'll see. I really hope it can live up the legacy of these first two movies, because they're just incredible films. So 5 out of 5, cinema at its finest.
Paddington 2, I bought the 4K from Europe for full price, $35 plus shipping, just off of the promise of how good Paddington 1 was. So trust me, I will get there. It's just that I really need to have a shitty day before I break it out. that's a special movie that I just won't put on at any time. So Paddington 2 is gonna be a Kino out of 10. I don't even have to fucking watch it. I'm just gonna go ahead and give it that score.
You gave, with the score you gave 1, if you somehow didn't give the same score to 2, it'd be the most baffling thing ever. I would not get that. So we'll see, maybe, but I'd be stunned.
I would lie.
Yeah, like you have it would be the most baffling of baffling takes. I could not get that. So yeah.
No, it's okay. No one will ever know if I don't like Paddington 2, because if not, like, I will just live with that lie. That lie's going to be my grave. Like, find out that, like, I just, like, my last words, like, do you have any regrets? Paddington 2 wasn't that good. Like, what?
Yeah,
what?
Good. I'm glad you're dead. Fuck.
My entire family just starts kicking my corpse. Fucking asshole. Can't believe you didn't like Paddington 2.
Now we're back to Manchester by the Sea.
Oh.
Speaking of depression, let me bang out these two since I'm still far ahead of you here, and we're gonna do the Haneke block now. So I watched Cache and Benny's video. Cache, so these will shout out to Mr. Sam, who was just on our show. It's sad he couldn't stay for these because I'm sure he would have loved to talk about these, but obviously you haven't seen them, although I don't know if you have any plans to even watch them after you didn't like funny games. But yeah, fair. So Cache is so I watched this because this was his pick for the Kino Club. He had 2. I'm not watching the other one. Fucking the irreversible director can fuck himself. Not happening. Never. No. Ever.
I like how I'm willing to give him another shot, but for some reason, Funny Games is the one where I'm like, eh.
I mean, you didn't like it. You liked Irreversible. You just.
I would never call.
Yeah, likes it.
Yeah,
likes a hard word.
I don't know if I want to call it that. That's not the word I like.
You were more positive?
No,
I don't know what to say. Anyways, all right, fuck it. Cache. This is a very, very, very interesting movie. I haven't watched a movie that reminded me. I don't want to say Memento. Like, okay, I'm going to say Memento, but it's not like story-wise, it's nothing like Memento. Let's get that out of the way. These are very different beasts. But what I loved about Memento the first time I watched it is once I finished it, I immediately wanted to rewatch that shit because I knew there were so many clues and so many different little things hiding there that would completely change the outlook of that movie. And that's how I felt with Cache. It's very, very deliberate in every single thing it does. Very quick synopsis. I'm just going to even read the one from Letterboxd because anything else I think would be a major spoiler. A married couple is terrorized by a series of videotapes planted on their front porch. And that's literally all you need to know about this movie. Anything else, like I said, I think would be a spoiler, and you'd be doing yourself a disservice knowing anything else about this movie. Fantastic performances. I fucking love Haneke. There's no director like him, in my opinion. Everything he makes is just so cynical. It's so mean. It's so cold, and I fucking eat it up. Love this movie. Great stuff. 8 out of
10. Out of 10.
Fair enough. All right, Benny's video. This is actually probably my least favorite Haneke. Still really enjoyed myself with it though. Same things apply. Really cold, really horrible, like very cruel, very dark. Synopsis for this one. Again, you don't want to know much going into it, but again, a 14-year-old video enthusiast is so caught up in the film fantasy that he can no longer relate to the real world. And I'm going to cut it off there because it actually does spoil too much in the synopsis. I don't know why I shouldn't say that. But yeah, that's basically where I kind of go with that. It's just about a kid who's basically losing touch with reality. Again, same thing. It's shot in a way that it can go a bunch of different ways. He is just so brilliant at doing that sort of thing. And I always appreciate that and love that about him. So if you're a fan of Haneke or like his work, this is an earlier one for sure. This is from 1992, but definitely worth checking out. 7 out of 10.
Keep going.
Okay, yeah, same score, I guess.
I can't even just muster up anything. Like, it's just whatever.
All right, fair enough. I'm gonna do 3 more here, and then we should be at 6 each. So let me go. Okay, let's do. We're gonna do the Kubrick block next. So we're gonna do The Killing and Eyes Wide Shut. So The Killing. Good Lord, Ed, you need to watch this movie at some point. I'm going to be careful here. We're dancing around spoilers. Not only do I think you're going to like this movie, but there's some stuff we got to talk about. Anyways, Mr. Kubrick here. This is one of his first films from 1956. This is to me just a near perfect heist movie, man. It's so immaculately shot, immaculately well made. You know how I'm always bitching about movies in the 40s and 50s never go dark enough?
Yeah.
This one's about as fucking close as I've seen that's willing to go, hey, you know what? I'm going to go a little bit in the muck here. We're going to go a little bit further than you expected. And that's who would have guessed it'd be Kubrick. That would be the first person willing to do that. Definitely. And the ending is, it doesn't go as hard as it could, but the ending is one of the fucking funniest things I've ever seen. I'm gonna leave it at that. I fucking love this ending. I love this movie. Sterling Hayden, who plays the main character of Johnny Clay, which, by the way, you want to talk about a noir name? Johnny Clay.
Yeah.
Let's go. Movie's dripping with style, dripping with noir. It's tight. It's not even an hour and a half. It's short, it's quick, you're in, you're out, you're fucking going through this heist, and it's just so well made. So I love this movie. I think this is great. I think this is one of Kubrick's best, and absolutely worth watching. 9 out of 10.
So, you know, a lot of times whenever we talk about stuff on the show, I will bring up a tab and I just start searching it. It seems that The Killing is free on YouTube. So,
all right, there you go.
These fuckers knew that we'd be recording now and decided, yeah, upload it after the fact. Fuckers. The Killing, remind me, and I will watch it before the next episode out of 10.
Awesome. Can't wait to hear your thoughts. Eyes Wide Shut. Have you seen this or no?
No, I have not.
Oh, okay, cool. Eyes Wide Shut. This is Stanley Kubrick's final movie from 1999. Very famously, I'm not a big fan of Clockwork Orange and 2001: A Space Odyssey. I've rewatched Clockwork Orange at least once, I think twice now. I don't know. Just there's something about that movie that doesn't hit for me. 2001: A Space Odyssey. I rewatched that and I was a fucking moron. I fucking love that movie. Now it's incredible. It's genre defining. It's amazing. So Eyes Wide Shut, I have watched and I did not like it all. So I was like, all right, let's watch this again because I need to see if this is a Clockwork Orange or a 2001: Space Odyssey for me. Am I a moron? Am I justified? Like, what's going on here? I mean, I'm a moron no matter what, but you know what I mean.
You know, less so.
Less so. So here's the thing with this movie. I still don't love it. I do have a new appreciation for it, though. It's not nearly as bad as I remember, which is good. I still have a lot of issues with it, though. So it's interesting. It's a very unique movie. It's very different, and it's hard to talk about, again, without kind of getting into the weeds about it. I will say it reminds me a lot of... not in the tone so much, but kind of the story and kind of where they go with it in some ways of Under the Silver Lake. Under the Silver Lake just has a lot of fun with the idea, where Kubrick's like, nah, this is a nightmare, bitch. Which it feels like in theory I should enjoy that more, but there's just something missing for me here, and I'm not quite sure what it is. I still like it, though. It's definitely better than I remembered. Tom Cruise is fucking great here. He did this and Magnolia in the same year. He had those two movies come out in the same year. Like, talk about a fucking good year for him. Yeah, like a great year for him. From two acclaimed directors like fucking Stanley Kubrick and Paul Thomas Anderson. Like, good lord. Nicole Kidman's great. Fucking good lord. Bonk. Like, back then, bonk. This is just, you know, it's a movie I feel like everyone really should watch because it's incredibly unique, and like Kubrick, man, none of his movies really felt the same, and you know, I really appreciate that. Even if not everything from Kubrick's a hit for me, and I don't love this one either, it's very different to anything I've ever seen before, and there's very few directors out there like that. So good stuff. Even if this isn't fully for me, I appreciate it a lot more. 6 out of 10.
You know what I need to actually start telling you to do, because I keep forgetting this? I need you to, like, at the end of each episode, send me a screenshot of your entire list, so then I, within the next episode, can keep referring back to that and be like, oh yeah, what did you mention that I wanted to watch? The reason I mentioned that is that I see that Eyes Wide Shut is on Netflix, and it's like, wow, cool. I'm totally gonna forget that before by the time that we get to the next episode. So
it's the rare where I was on Netflix for me too. So yeah,
oh,
funny.
sure. Okay.
The rare Netflix Canada and America lining up. I can do that. It'll have to be the next time though, because actually my tradition is as I'm going through each item, I
You
delete it off
delete
the list. So
You fucking monster! Oh my god! All right,
yeah.
then this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna write the killing and
Eyes wide shut.
eyes wide shut, and I'm gonna have it in the chat just so I can constantly remember. Although
I have a feeling
totally
it's
gonna
really
forget
going
that
to
too.
be your shit though. So we'll see when you
No,
get
that's
to
the
it.
thing. Like both of those, like
actually.
I wanna watch. Oh, why the? I had dinner. I shouldn't be flubbing up my words like this. Both of these, I want to watch them. I just need reminders that they exist.
All right, I'll do one more here, and then we're back even.
Okay.
And this is After Yang. This is directed. This is in 20. It says 2021. It was actually this year though. By Koganda. Koganda. He's done another movie called Columbus that's pretty popular, which I haven't seen, and apparently some short stories on Wes Anderson. So I actually hate this director guy now. But anyways, that's a side point. After Yang. So I'd heard a lot of mixed things going into this movie. A lot of people saying that this was a miss from A24, that it just wasn't for them. From people in the Discord and just people I know personally. And then I went on Letterboxd, and it's actually got quite a high Letterboxd rating. So it's like, it's quite the divide here, right? Like I usually don't see that. So I went to watch it for myself. I guess the best way to put this movie is I can understand why some people don't like it. It's short, but it's still incredibly slow. And it's not like there's a ton that even happens in it. But man, this movie's a fucking vibe, and I loved it. I just think it's so cool, kind of like, not to spoil major plot points, but there's an android, it malfunctions, he's trying to fix the android, and you just kind of, the entire movie is kind of a meditation on what it's like to be a human and what kind of emotions that is and what makes a human. And there's just a lot of themes explored that I really dig. Colin Farrell, he plays like a tea owner. I'm like, that's the most badass thing ever. I love you, Colin Farrell. That was great. Jodie Turner Smith was really good here too. Just a great cast, really well acted. And then this movie maybe has my favorite opening credit sequence of all time. I gotta say, I was watching it and I'm sitting there and I'm like, I can't tell if I love this or hate this, but it turned into a love. I think it's brilliant. It just sets the tone for the movie in such a spectacular way. It sets the tone for the movie in such a spectacular way. And I just fell in love with this movie. I think it's fantastic. It's one of my favorite movies from this year now. I think I ranked it third on my list, right below the Batman and Everything Everywhere All at Once. So definitely not going to be for everyone. I get that. But if you like those kind of slow movies that are just kind of exploring ideas and themes, and you're not necessarily going to get a ton of resolution, but you like that thought, definitely check out After Yang.
One of these days when I have more money coming in, I'm just gonna start paying for Showtime and constantly having Showtime, because guess where After Yang is streaming? Fucking Showtime. Just
Yeah, you can seem to be a lot of shit on Showtime, actually.
no, the thing is that I'm convinced at this point that Showtime has a deal with A24. Like I'm
They
convinced
must.
at this point.
Yeah, no, they must. That would make sense, actually.
But yeah, everything you said, it's like, okay, you know what? I have been a known enjoyer of robotics and humanity meditation, so sure, fine, whenever. Oh my god, if I just more money and I'll get Showtime, okay? You fucking did it, Showtime. You're the first streaming service besides HBO to convince me, okay, fine, I want that one. Out of 10.
9 out of 10. Good shit.
Okay,
All right.
is that everything, or are we
Yeah,
back
so
in line?
we're at 6. We're at 6 apiece now.
Okay, all right, so let's go ahead and get the two big ones out of the way, because afterwards, if we start doing a rush on the rest of them, whoops, sorry. Better Call Saul. Yeah, that's over now. I give it to you first, because I feel like
Okay.
I don't even know. Actually, no. What am I? I'm trying to lead this up to you, as in like, oh, I have something to say now. I'm just like, I think my brain's fried at this point.
That's fair. Look, Better Call. So I have Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad here. I started a Breaking Bad rewatch immediately after Better Call Saul. I mean, I guess we're going to dabble a bit into spoilers. I feel like we have to. But
Yeah.
before that, let me just kind of go off the top. Phenomenal final season. Like, just absolutely incredible stuff. So well done. I think what I just to kind of relate back to what I'm watching now of Breaking Bad, it's so incredible to me how different these shows were and how they managed to create two different masterpieces that both just create this seamless world together, and the fuckers just pulled it off brilliantly. It's very difficult, I find, to make a prequel that you want to watch before the main show, but they managed to do it here. Like I still think the preferred order of watching this is Better Call Saul first up until a certain point, and then Breaking Bad, El Camino, and then the final few episodes of Better Call Saul. And the fact that they managed to make that work is incredible, and they should be applauded for that. One of the finest pieces of television I've ever seen. I'm upset. I'm sad that Saul's gone. It's going to be a huge void in television now, and I look forward to whatever Mr. Gilligan does next. But yeah, great stuff. I think we're both very positive on it. But yeah, your thoughts?
Better Call Saul is probably one of the greatest TV shows that has ever been made. So is Breaking Bad. I haven't watched Breaking Bad since probably as soon as once the show went off air, that's only been it. I've only watched it one time, but I still feel confident in saying that. If you want to cheat, as I will, and combine the two shows into one show, it probably is the greatest TV show ever made. The only problem is that I need to go through and watch it all again. But Better Call Saul, fucking phenomenal ending. It is such a good... I don't even remember where I remember watching or hearing this. It was probably a good YouTube video that was probably citing a book or something that was talking about how you want your ending of a TV show to basically call back to the first episode, and you want it to answer to what the central question is of the show. And of course, Better Call Saul's whole question is, how did Jimmy McGill become Saul Goodman? And so the final episode feels like it is a good final end cap to the relationship between those two characters. And Better Call Saul, fucking incredible show. I think if we did want to discuss more, we'd probably go into spoilers. But yeah, also besides that, you went straight into Breaking Bad. I decided to start over, and I'm watching Better Call Saul again.
Oh,
I
cool.
haven't watched it in a while. I'm probably 4 or 5 episodes in, but even then, I am happy now that without immediately going from Breaking Bad into Better Call Saul, that now that I don't have those two things back to back, I think I was never giving credit enough to season 1. I just think that
That's great.
Yeah, I was casting too much of Breaking Bad's shadow onto season 1, and that is unfair to season 1. Season 1 is very good, and now, of course, if you are listening to this, watch Better Call Saul, except the last 4 episodes. Watch Breaking Bad.
Fun and Games.
Yeah. Then El Camino, and then the last 4 episodes of Better Call Saul. And that is the proper way to watch the show as best as possible, without trying to handicap Better Call Saul, and while probably making Breaking Bad better.
I completely agree.
Yes, Better Call Saul is one of the greatest TV shows ever made. Now we can probably go into spoilers if we want to. Well, did you want to? Or
let's do a little bit. I feel like we have to. I know we're both tired, but we got to give a little bit of respect to Mr. Saul here.
No, that's fine. No. I'm happy with opening up the spoilers. I'm not even worried about time frame or anything. It's more
we won't go too long, but let's talk about it for sure.
Okay. All right. So 3, 2, 1. Jimmy's alive. Better Call Saul. Saul gooder than the Solomon Good Samaritan. He's dead. We went to prison. Sadly, Jimmy followed him.
Hey, did you know you have rights? Constitution says you do.
It's so fucking good.
It's so good. Yeah, this is not only is this a perfect ending, but it's really the only way I feel it could have ended. You kind of get the perfect, the triage, so to speak. One person dies, one person gets away, and one person goes to jail.
Where did that come from anyways? Did people just start saying that?
I think that was the theory. All along, but that's the way it should work. It just feels natural, feels right, and that's basically what happened. One person died. Rest in peace, Walt. One person got away. Good for you, Jesse.
Bye, Jesse.
And I think he'll be fine. He'll be good. And one person, he's not like Saul. And then one person went to jail, and that's Saul. And I think everyone got their deserved ending, so to speak. One thing Better Call Saul really fucking made me do was just really grow disdain for Walt. And I'll tell you that even rewatching Breaking Bad now, like there's a bit of sympathy at the very beginning, but so much of it's thrown out of the way right away. Like, just swallow your pride and fucking take the money that your fucking friends are offering you. You stupid fucking idiot. Because of you, everyone gets pulled into this shithole, man. And it's just it's rewatching this. It's just like, Jesus Christ, man. But yeah, Better Call Saul, incredible finale. Watching that unfold, they play you hook, line, and sinker. You think he's gonna keep being Jimmy until the very end. He gets a great deal. They bring back Hank's widow, Marie, which is fantastic, by the way. Didn't expect that. She's great. It was so good to see her again. And you're like, oh my god, like the fucker's gonna get away with it again. He's getting 7.5 or 8 years or whatever it is for everything he did. But one final trick up his sleeve, his final act of redemption, and he just spills his guts and basically makes himself human again in the process. And then you can tell he goes to prison, although he gets all the people on the bus chanting Saul, Saul, Saul for him, and he's gonna be fine. He's gonna be just fine.
Call Saul.
He's gonna be the most popular fucking guy in that prison, man, because he's gonna help anybody who wants to try to get out of there early, right? Like, he's gonna teach him all the tricks. He's gonna teach him like loopholes. He's gonna help him the fuck out. So he will be the most popular fucking guy in that prison. He's gonna live a good life in there for the rest of his life.
So I just want to say this because this is the way that I interpret that final part of the last episode. I truly believe that Saul was trying to negotiate his way out. He saw the 7.5. He's like, all right, perfect. We'll just do that and I'll get back out and we'll be a-okay. I'm still going to be depressed as fuck, but at least I won't be in prison. And then at that point, that's when he learns that Kim has basically thrown herself onto the sword that, I mean, Saul set up. He's like, well, if you're so guilty, then you do something about it. And it's like, oh no, she did something about it. So he's like, okay, well, if I can throw myself onto the sword to keep her safe, then I'll do it. And that's when Jimmy shows up. So yeah, where do you stand on that?
I agree. I think I don't think that was his master plan or anything like that. He was just figuring out every trick in the book, and then he's like, yeah, I got one more juicy piece of information for you. Don't worry. And like, don't worry, we already got that. And you can just kind of see the wheels turning at that point. He's like, oh, you already have that? Oh no, Kim's in trouble. Fuck.
Yeah.
And it's at that point where he's like, like throughout this show, if there's been one thing that's consistent and one thing you've never questioned for the most part, it's Jimmy's love for Kim. And it makes total sense for the character to want to fall on that sword one final time for her.
I just think that's so fucking cool that this man was just right there. This man was right at the end of all of this, and then suddenly Kim's in trouble. I'm just dumping all of this. My entire plan is gone. Now I just need to make sure that she's safe. Fucking incredible.
He doesn't even get the ice cream. So sad.
Just, it was very funny because my wife and I had gotten Cinnabon for the finale, which
Nice.
by the way, oh no, not only that, Cinnabon themselves actually had a deal where it was buy one get one. Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't think we have Cinnabon out here, but we have a place
such
called
a shame.
Cinzio, which is very similar. And I got it. Not the day of the finale, but I got it the day after. I was like, oh, that's good shit.
I'm just saying, it was very funny being like Cinnabon, 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 and then we get to the final episode, and Saul's like Bluebell mint chocolate chip. I'm like, I live in Texas. We live and die by Bluebell. Fuck yeah.
Good stuff.
But yes, Better Call Saul, fucking incredible. I don't know if there's anything else I can say.
Nah,
We would need way more time for that. And
that could
honestly,
certainly get its own special episode one day. There's so much to talk about there, but incredible stuff. Thank you for everything. And Saul gone, man. Saul gone.
All right, your turn. Oh wait, no, what am I talking about? Let's get out the stuff that we share.
Yeah, we're doing.
First.
We're doing the other one, right? The Tu Mama Tambien.
Fucking hate you. Can't stand you. You go first, bastard.
Why Tu Mama Tambien? Okay. I'm actually curious. How do I say this properly, please?
Tu Mama Tambien.
Tu Mama Tambien.
So no, like the letter E. So
Tu Mama Tambien.
Yeah, close enough. Whatever. That's fine.
All right,
I'm
whatever,
not going
okay.
to hammer too hard on Tambien.
The reason I'm getting at is this movie is actually really incredible, so it deserves a bit more respect than I'm giving it with the horrible rendition of its name.
Look.
Um,
Let's move this out of the way first about my entire ridiculous thing with this
yeah,
movie.
please,
The
please.
Criterion, right?
Stupidest fucking thing.
I know, I'm so dumb, but like I bought the Criterion. The Criterion is thick as fuck. Like this is like almost 2 Blu-ray sizes, right? Of course, I've explained my shelf. My shelf is there, whatever, blah blah blah. Which reminds me, Dorian, send me a link of your letterbox. I think we should probably start putting that in descriptions now. Like just here you go. It keeps track of anything, whatever stuff. Anyways, this book is fucking thick for not book. The case for Tu Mama Tambien is really thick, and of course, with my shelf rules, it means that movie is taking up more space. So I'm over here thinking, man, I want to watch this movie. I kind of really hope I don't like it and want to put it on my shelf because it's going to be really annoying if I do like it and want to put it on my shelf. Well, guess what? I like it and put it on my shelf. So, I bought a replacement Criterion case off of eBay, and then I started photoshopping my own cover to this movie. What I did is I scanned the booklet, I scanned the spine of the actual, like, not even the booklet. Was it the booklet? No. So the slip cover, you remove the slip cover and the cover that's there. That's what I made the cover. And then I scanned the actual back of the movie and I photoshopped this. And then I drove over to an Office Depot and I printed it out. And it was the wrong size, but they didn't charge me. And I was like, oh, they didn't charge me. That's weird. So I went back home and I started doing math so I could properly size it from the amount of inches on a screen compared to what's going to be like when I print it out on a paper. And then I go back and I print it and I cut it. And then they're like, no charge. I'm like, you should not tell me this is no charge because I'm going to exploit this more if I ever need to. And now I'm home and now I have a single case and now it's on my shelf. Tu Mama Tambien is really fucking good. Jesus Christ, I'm dumb. I'm so dumb.
I'm gonna move on from that because that is really dumb. Here's the thing. Alfonso Cuarón, I mean, we're talking about a guy who's made Roma, Children of Men, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, like really, really great movies.
Don't say Gravity.
And somehow this movie just stands on top. This movie is just, it's the perfect, like, you want to talk about like near flawless execution of what you're going for in a movie. This movie's so fucking well made, man. It just feels like it's such a vibe and you're just going along for the ride and this journey. It's perfectly acted by everyone here. I'd seen this movie before. This was my rewatch, but I didn't really remember that much from it, and just it all started flooding back after I started watching it. And I'm so glad I grabbed the Criterion for this because this movie's so fucking good. It's my favorite of his that I've seen personally. I really like Roma too, obviously, and I mean Children of Men is a classic. But this is just there's just something about this movie that vibes so fucking well with me. So incredible film.
It is weird.
So good.
Out of his movies, I feel like Children of Men, not having watched Roma yet, and maybe Roma might be the one that changes for me, but I feel like Children of Men might be his best movie.
Yes.
But I absolutely like Tu Mama Tambien more than the other movies of his that I've seen, excluding Roma. Roma, like I really am kind of itching to get to it.
Yeah, Roma's very similar in a lot of ways in its style to Tu Mama. So I think you're really going to like that. As much, I don't know, but it's definitely going to be up your alley.
By the way, so I don't know. I just love that Tu Mama Tambien is literally like, and your mother too. Like it just sounds so properly juvenile for what this movie is. Like it's just so good, but that's a different direction, at least from what I was saying about the movies and stuff. Like I can imagine that Roma might be in the same vein as Tu Mama Tambien, because I can imagine that both of these feel, at least with Tu Mama Tambien, it feels like it comes from a love of where he grew up from in Mexico. Like it just, you feel it in the movie. And even though, like, I know that Tu Mama Tambien takes place in Mexico, having gone to Costa Rica, that's the thing, from having gone to El Salvador before, actually going to Mexico, having gone to Belize, and then having gone to Costa Rica, no matter where you go below the border, for the US, a lot of that just ends up looking the same. So even just having been out of the country not long ago and then watching Tu Mama Tambien, it just like he captures it perfectly. Everything that you see that is like whenever you're taking a long trip, you just have like these random pueblos that are just off the road, and then just these random little stores that you go to that's like, this isn't even a store, like you're just running this out of your house, and like this is how you make a couple of extra dollars. Like, Y Tu Mama Tambien, just from its setting, it's so fucking good, and it's just shot so beautifully to capture all of that. And just that's even before we talk about the characters. Like, is there anything that you want to dive into before we end up having to go to them? Because I'm pretty sure the characters, if we talk about them, that's like, it'd be very difficult to talk about them without spoilers.
No, the characters are all just so fucking good, man. They're all really so well written, and they just feel true to form. The boys, obviously, I'm just looking up their names now. Excuse me, Julio and
Julio and Tenoch.
Julio and Tenoch. Yeah,
Mhm.
they're great. Like, they're just really, really, really well acted. They feel authentic. They feel as juvenile as they should at times, and just great. Luisa, I mean, God, bonk, 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 bonk,
You-
bonk. Fantastic, like, just so great. She's so great. I loved it. Just incredible stuff. Fuck the narrator though for making me think my Criterion was skipping every time that happened. But other than that, love this movie. Love those characters. She's great. The kids are great. Like, there's other good supporting cast here too, but those three and their relationship and their dynamic is obviously the star of the movie here. So
It's very funny that, like, I understand that a whole bunch of people are like bonk about her, but I don't know. I just look at her, I'm like, yeah, you're attractive, doing
I
nothing for
think it's
me.
more for me. Okay, first of all, she is attractive. Let's get that out of the way.
Yeah, like,
But I think for me, it's just the thought of that specific fantasy, like being
okay,
a
yeah,
couple, just being a young fucking horny kid, and this
yeah.
fucking really hot, out of your league older woman wants to hang out with you.
Yeah.
Bonk.
Okay, yeah. Okay, you know what? I will bonk the situation. Just
Yeah.
know that it's like a I may not know. I mean, I do understand it, but I also don't understand it. Let's say like be these two things. The English language, I'm not good enough at it to explain it properly, but I understand it, but I don't understand it, so I'm just gonna give it a stamp and be like, yeah, good enough. Um, okay, so let's go ahead and just go into spoilers now.
Sure.
3, 2, 1. Rewatching this movie. This is the second time that I've watched it now. I mean, third, I guess. The first time, though, let's just not even count that because I was really young, so don't even know how much of it I remember. Watching it again makes me realize that these two were gay the entire time, right?
Yeah, you definitely. It's hard. I don't want to say gay, but
Okay,
bi
sure,
for sure.
bisexual, whatever,
Bisexual for
whatever.
sure. They definitely had feelings for each other, and you could tell that because they were basically, I mean, yeah, they were banging each other's girlfriends, and like they so desperately cared about each other. And yeah, the signs are all there for sure. There's definitely a romantic connection between the two. And I think I mean, obviously the ending of this movie is heartbreaking for many, many different reasons. But one of the biggest ones is the fact that, after the encounter at the end, that's basically it. They go their separate ways. They have one final meeting and they never see each other again. And it's a bummer. It's sad, but it's really, really well made.
Now, I love this entire movie because now watching it again, you just realize that all of it is kind of like this final gasp of like
Yeah.
youth and childhood.
Yeah.
And every single time that the narrator drops in, it's just this like extra punch to your face of like, yeah, don't worry, this is something positive. The audio drops out and the narrator kicks in. It's like, by the way, this is the real world cutting in. This is why it sucks, and this is why it's actually sad. And you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Dude, the funniest one though, like the one where the one that just made me laugh seeing it was the one with the pigs. Like, it's like the pigs, oh, it's so funny. They took over the camp, and then it drops out, and the narrator's like, these pigs came from the north. They were eventually all slaughtered. And you're like, why did you have to include that one? Out of all of the ones, why is that one so important to the movie that we need to figure out that all those pigs died? Why?
Yeah, no shit.
Oh my god. But yeah, I love it. And then not only is it a death of youth, but it's also about death because with what was her name again?
Luisa.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Luisa. With Luisa, just knowing how she's basically dying the entire movie.
It's her last gasp for youth as well, honestly.
Yeah, the life.
Life
But I
in
mean,
general.
not only that, then watching this movie again and now knowing that she's dying, it
Yeah.
no longer seems like she's just doing shit to just do shit.
Yeah.
Now that you know that she's basically dying, all of her stuff ends up fitting way better in, because in the first initial viewing, I just remember watching her, it's like, man, I get it. You're just trying to fuck these kids. Like, what is wrong with you? And it isn't until the end you're like, oh, well, you were dying. So
Yeah.
now that you have that in your mind, the fact that she is on her final gasp, it's like, well, screw it. I mean, like, I'm gonna die. These kids want to fuck me. I fucked one of them. Oh no, out of like complete weakness in that moment. Well, what if I fuck the other guy? I mean, maybe it'll probably even them out. And it's like, well, this was kind of dumb of me of thinking that would have worked, but also screw it. Like, I just kind of thought these two guys were like that it wouldn't matter to them. It's very weird because it's something that, like, without the aspect of her dying, it just becomes really stupid. Like, it's just in this movie that, like, I'm so impressed that it feels like every piece is so well thought out, even though it feels like it's two disparate movies. One which is a road trip movie, one is just this raunchy comedy, I mean, comedy-ish, and then another one is a loving depiction of just a rural trip through Mexico, and then on the other fork is a meditation about life and trying to take advantage of it while you can. It's like, how do you have all of these things balanced and all of this stuff works? Like, none of it fights against each other.
Yeah, no, it's a juggling act for sure. But he does a great job of pulling it off. And like I said, I'm really going to be excited to hear your thoughts of Roma because he does a lot of very similar stuff with Roma too. And although I like this movie a little bit more than Roma, I feel like Roma's a movie. Once I revisit it, I'll probably like it even more too. It's so well made and it's of that same cloth. And Roma just feels like you mentioned it earlier, but Roma just feels even more like a love letter to where he was born. And he put his heart and he put his soul into that movie. And when he does that, you just get some really excellent shit. So, yeah, amazing stuff.
Oh my god, it's such a fucking good movie that you know what, my score is gonna be, do you know all the shit I did to get this onto my shelf? That out of 10.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, I mean, that shows the love you have for it. It's a 9 out of 10 for me. Just an incredible film and definitely one of my favorite foreign movies of all time for sure.
Okay, so Sopranos.
I got 3 left.
I have 1, 2, 3 left as well.
One of them's a bundle for me. So
okay, yeah, go for it then.
All right, I'll do the bundle then. Let's get the Persona out of the way here.
Right.
Out of the way at the end of the episode. So we've got Persona 3 FES and then Persona 3 Dancing. So I finally finished Persona 3. And then obviously, as is tradition, I go into the dancing game after, which I'll touch on a bit after, but I mean, there's not much to say about that. I really, really, really loved Persona 3. And I'm talking love to the point where this game has now entered my top 10 of all time.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I really fucking like this game. To me, it's hard to explain. First of all, I have a huge benefit of playing this game with mods, which I hate it. It's disgusting. I want to choke myself out for saying that, but it really did save this game for me because I feel like if I did not have party control, if I was playing this game that looked 720p and looked like shit, I would have honestly had a lot more miserable time with it, especially with that party control bullshit, man. I probably would have fucking hated this game. that did so much fucking heavy lifting for me in making this gameplay fun. And that's the thing. I just had a fun time with the gameplay of this game. Going through Tartarus and constantly grinding and going up different levels and seeing how far the fucking levels went, 262 floors, by the way. It was enjoyable to me because the gameplay loop, I don't know, man. There was just something about it that was satisfying to me.
God.
And then you take the story, and this is where this game just hits an absolute fucking home run for me. So if we're just looking straight at the characters, I will not try to argue anybody. Persona 4 Golden's characters, especially the main cast, but the side cast too, are better than this game. And I would say better than Persona 5's too. Like Persona 4 just has incredible character work in it. In terms of story, I always thought Persona 5 Royal had a better story than Persona 4 Golden. I still think Persona 5 Royal has the best story, but Persona 3 is like a fucking hair behind, man. I don't know what it was about this story, but it hit hard. And especially with how it ends. And I didn't even fucking fully realize how it ends. Like I kind of misread the ending, and I had to fucking go back and watch some of the stuff after, which I'm not finished yet, but I'm still watching the answer, like the basically the bit after, where I'm not playing that because you have to play it on hard mode. Fuck that shit. But I'm watching the kind of the story for that, and it's I don't know, man. Like this story for a JRPG specifically, but even for Persona, it goes really dark, and it goes to places I just wouldn't have expected it to go. And there's just something that resonates with this game with me, and I've been thinking about it nonstop. I just there's something about this series, man, that just hits the perfect note for me, and there's just something about this game that feels incredibly special. So I love this. It was an absolutely incredible experience for me. I haven't touched my top 10 games in a long time, so it felt really weird for me to shift something in there. Maybe I change my mind eventually and move it back out, but for now, it feels really comfy in there. I basically went through my list and kept moving it up, 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 up. I'm like, okay, where does this feel like it's too high? And where it finally stopped was right before fucking God of War 2018. I'm like, okay, we're stopping there. But it's there's just something about this game and its story that captured me like few others have. So I fucking love this game. It's incredible. I'll let you talk in a second here, but just to quickly bounce Persona 3 Dancing out of here. Rhythm game follow-up. It's fun. The biggest problem with this game, the music is not nearly as good as the other Persona games, so getting a lot more repetitive quickly. It's fun though, it's fine, it's more dancing. They do a lot of cool remixes and try to make the soundtrack more interesting, which by the way, that is by far the worst part about Persona 3, the main game itself. The soundtrack just absolutely pales in comparison to 4 Golden and 5 Royal. Like it's just not even anything close. And which, to be fair, especially with Persona 5 Royal, there's no other gaming soundtrack besides what's that fucker's name? Automata.
Kenji Okabe.
Besides Okabe, there's nothing that comes close to Persona 5 Royal's soundtrack for me. Like it's just on a whole fucking other planet with Okabe. There's nothing that comes on that planet. So, that's where I'm at with that. But Persona 3, even by lower standards, it's not good. So yeah, worst part of the game for me. But I've always been a story over gameplay guy and a story over character guy, and the story is the most important part of things for me, and that is where this game absolutely fucking destroyed it for me. So that's my thought.
It's just so fucking wild for me to hear that, because like I think of Persona 4 Golden and I just think about the plot, and it's like I don't give a shit, and then it's like the characters and the music. Let's fucking go.
Absolutely. No, you're right.
And then I think of Persona 5 Royal, and I'm like, what's the plot? Who the fuck cares? How about that final sequence? How about the characters? How about the music? Let's go! And it's like the characters are a little bit, there may be a step below Persona 4 Gold. And then from my 30 hours alone of Persona 3 Portable, hearing this shit, and it's like, I don't really think about the plot. The music, whatever. Honestly, what the fuck? Why? Why?
Yeah, we're agreement there.
And then I think of the characters, I'm like, the characters are fine. Which reminds me, you like Junpei. I haven't gotten to bring this up to you at all. Fuck Junpei. He sucks.
Junpei's a good boy.
I can't
Junpei's
stand
a good
him.
boy. Junpei's a good boy.
You know how you intentionally have to lie to all of them in their like social links so then you can add like extra adornment points that they like you for? Like, I would just beat this man senselessly every fucking time I had to hang out with him. It's like, hey man, look at those girls, let's go chase them. I'm like, you fucking suck, Junpei. And it's like, oh wow, why would you say that to me? I'm like, because I don't like you.
To me. Look, don't get me wrong. The best bro character is Yosuke from Persona 4 Gold. No question.
Yes, that's
top of the thing. But I do like Junpei more than Ryuji. I do. I do. I absolutely do. I think Junpei. Here's the thing with Junpei. He's fucking stupid. Like, what's her name?
Why?
No, Yukari's name for is Stupe. I'm like, it's perfect. He's fucking.
It's perfect. Yes,
it's perfect. No, it's great. But maybe he just reminds me a little bit of myself.
No,
he's so stupid. He's funny, and I can't help but like him. I don't know.
No, I just look at him like, just shut up, please. Oh my god, I don't need to hear you speak anymore.
Now, I will say, you said you played 30 hours, right? Did you get to any of the stuff with him and Chidori?
Probably not.
Okay, so I will say there is growth to his character.
Jesus Christ, this man is one note. Okay, well, at least he's not one note for 60 hours.
Exactly.
He's one note for 40.
Yeah, he's not one note for 60 hours. We get the typical JRPG. It just takes 30 hours for him to get good.
Fucking Christ.
He does, like, when you get to the stuff with him and Chidori, it does open up a little bit more, which, by the way, not to spoil anything, but there's one thing I really like about that game, specifically with the relationship, him and Chidori, and I really loved it. And then they kind of do some anime bullshit, which pisses me off. But I guess I actually found out afterwards that that's something they added in FES because the fans complained, and you had to do like a certain set of requirements even to unlock that. So it's the first time I actually like got the requirements for some secret part that I was pissed off at. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sakes, like, why couldn't have I not gotten that? It would have been even better. And I'm trying to dance around spoilers. That's the best way I can do that. But yeah.
Okay, I remember who this person is. Yes, I did meet her. Yes.
Okay.
That I'm even more stronger in my camp of Junpei sucks.
I don't know, man. I like Stupe. He's a stupid boy, but we must protect him. He needs protection.
We can't go from Tu Mama Tambien to Persona 3, and we're talking about horny teenagers, and I fucking can't stand this kid. I can't fucking stand this kid.
Oh man.
Although Akihiko is the fucking king, one of the greatest characters.
No, Akihiko's fantastic. Like, I like him more than Stupe for sure. He's great. He's actually one of the best male characters I think in Persona, especially
he is.
Yeah,
I don't know who beats him.
Yeah, because what's his name in 5 sucks. I hate him.
The painter kid.
Yeah, painter kid. Yeah, I don't like him. Ken's horrible. Ken in Persona 3 is the worst fucking character. I fucking hate Ken. He just sucks flat out. I even hate him in Persona 3 dancing. He sucks there too.
Fuka sucks. Fuka sucks too.
See, I like Fuka.
Why?
I really like
I'm
Fuka.
just always so quiet and I'm always so nervous. I talk like this the entire game. I hate her. This is what I'm talking about. You talking about Persona 3 being a top 10 is like, how fucking good can that plot be if I already hate half of the cast of characters?
See, if I'm ranking like the support characters, so we're talking Fuka, Rise, and who's the fifth one? Futaba. Rise first, Fuka next, and then what's her name? Fucking Futaba last. That's what
I honestly, it's a coin flip between 4 and 5 for me. It's like, okay, either one of you, like, that's fine. Yeah, Rise, I like Rise's like chipperness. It's like, okay, all right. And then Persona 5 girl, it's like, okay, you're a dork, this is fine. And then Fuka, it's just like, why? Who let the door open for you? Who let you in here? Leave.
No, I don't know, man. But that's another thing. But it's funny, like, what you're saying are like the popular opinions. Like, nobody likes Fuka, nobody likes Stupe, but like, I actually didn't mind those characters. So maybe that's why I like the game more than a lot of people, because like the only character I really outright hated was Ken. Like Ken's horrible, but like and then I mean the dog's awesome.
Oh, okay, yeah, the dog. Okay, come on, let's never. Anyone who says a bad word about the dog, I will execute you myself.
Yeah, the dog's great. I guess the robot, she's fantastic too. I like her character.
I think I'm literally like an hour or two from getting to her. Like, I honestly think I'm just no. I think I already have her. It's just that like I don't think I have her in my party yet.
Right. Yeah, that happens pretty shortly after you meet her. But yeah, no. So it's definitely. It's hard to explain why I like that game so much, but I will say there's just something about that plot, and specifically, like I will say, and don't get me wrong, I don't think this is going to win you over like it ever wins me over, but I will say that the last, the plot really starts to get going.
I know the spoiler, and the fact that like Persona 4 and 5 don't do that.
Yeah.
It's always making me think like, holy shit, okay, if they did
that's what I mean.
that.
That's something that you don't see in that type of game normally, which is why I give it so much props, because it's a bold decision. And it's funny, I Googled it because I was curious, because like, again, I don't want to spoil anything, but I misread what happens basically at the end, and I Googled it, and I started searching around, and all I could find were angry forum posts of people screaming at Atlas for this. And I'm like, okay, well, that worked. Like, fuck you idiots. Like, this obviously was great. Like, Atlas knew what they were doing here. Because you anime loving morons, you don't know what you're talking about. But it was perfect to me. And I don't know, man. Like, it's hopefully, I don't know how you end up playing this game. Like, I think you've said you might go back one day and finish Portable.
No, zero chance. No. I've said that, like, I just have to mentally prepare myself to recognize that I am going to throw away a 30-hour save.
Yeah, you have.
And it's just like,
because I'm gonna buy Portable because I want to try it, but I feel like that's just such an inferior way to play it. Like, that just does not feel like the right way to play it. And I'm sure if I played it that way, like, I'm sure I still would have really liked it, but I definitely don't think I'd be as high as I am on it now.
No, you absolutely would not. Absolutely zero chance. So, petition to have a star or a little asterisk put next to Persona 3, a little star. Like, basically, if you have mods, but it's in your top 10 list, I would like that to be basically like if someone got put into the Hall of Fame, but they were using steroids the entire time.
I'll add that to the record.
Okay, thank you.
So that's all I've got to say. Absolutely love my experience with that. I'm very sad to move on. I'm moving on to a mystery game next that I'm very, very, very excited to talk about next week or on the next show. And I don't know, I might even just keep everything quiet about it until I'm on the next show, because that might be a fun reveal. But it should be a very explosive and fun conversation. But Persona 3, where it stands, fantastic stuff. 9 out of 10. And then Persona 3 Dancing, it's fine. 6 out of 10.
Jesus, I still can't get over the fact that, like, I still can't believe that, like, Persona 3, you love it this much. And it's just like, what the fuck is there? What is there?
I'm not even going to tell you what I bumped out of my top 10, because it'll make you fucking furious if I
piss me off. Do it. You know you love pissing me off. Do it. Hurt me.
Well, okay, here's the thing. So originally the 10th game on my list was Danganronpa 2. So technically I probably should have bumped that off. But I'm like, I just don't feel right bumping Danganronpa 2 off when I think it's actually ahead of what number 9 is, and what number 9 was, and what I sadly had to bump out.
It's Replicant, isn't it?
Well, Replicant's not even my top 20. Sorry, I like
okay, good.
Yeah. Okay. And Automata's 5, so it's safe.
Oh yeah, I know. I knew Automata was safe.
But what I had to bump out was the Naughty Dog classic Uncharted 2. Very sad.
Oh, that's fine.
Uncharted 2 now sits at 11. Okay.
No. Look. I enjoy an Uncharted 2. I'm just way more like Uncharted 4 all about it. Like knocking out Persona 3 for Uncharted 2, whatever, fair game. For some reason, it just doesn't offend me as much. Yeah.
Good. I'm glad it wasn't Automata or something like that, though.
If they were Automata, you hear how I'm stammering and I can't find the words. That's exactly what would happen.
Anyways, that's it. I got one left, so bang on whatever you want.
All right, House of Dragon, or as apparently the people who are making the show are calling it, they call it Hot D, which, I mean, it makes sense.
I hate that, though.
I mean, it makes sense. Like House of the Dragon, HOTD.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair.
Like I could imagine that people working on the show are like, House of the Dragon. God, can we just Hot D? Oh, it's right there. Hot D. So House of the Dragon. Now, you see, this is where I realize I'm stupid. We said we record today, Sunday. Second episode already aired. I'm like, well, shit. I mean, so I guess I'm only talking about one episode right now. Oh well, that's fine. HBO Max, Dolby Vision, Atmos. Let's fucking go. So, House of the Dragon. So far, I'm only going to talk about the pilot. I won't take too long because it's just one episode. This is more of just like, should you watch this? Not you, Dorian, specifically, just in general.
No,
people should
we've
watch
discussed this.
Yes. Anyways, at least for the record, I have told him to hang out until the end of the first season. If it becomes better, then sure, jump in. What I will tell everyone else is that House of the Dragon is good. The first episode is good. There are literally, it might be the end of the episode that I felt was like, why do you have something that feels like it's supposed to be the Pog moment to remind you that Game of Thrones exists? Like, oh my fucking god, he's talking about the White Walkers, oh my god! Like, just stop it, right? We didn't need that. I'm not going to add more context. It's just like that. It just feels like it's not supposed to be there. Anyways, but the first episode does feel like it understands what the appeal of Game of Thrones was and is kind of just giving you more of that. It feels like it's going to be way more the political machinations that were part of season 1 and 2. And I'm digging it. But so far, it still feels like I need to see where you guys are going, because I can see the direction you guys are going. I just need to see how it's executed at this point. I would say that if you are still supremely bitter and just pissed off about season 8 of Game of Thrones, and you're just like, you're not even ready to forgive, don't even try. Just like wait until like we're 2 or 3 seasons deep at this point if you're like that pissed. But if you are kind of like I'm a little bit like let's see how it goes here, give it a season. But if you are just like, I can still think about this show in any sort of positive light, just go for it. Just start watching it. I feel pretty confident in saying that because I can already tell that they still have a good handle on what made Game of Thrones good. Not great yet, not peak TV yet, but I mean, season 1 and 2 were very good. And this feels like it has a good foundation of where they want to go. And plus the fact that they're basing it off of a book that's already completely written and not just going to be a train track that doesn't have any actual stopping point, then yeah, it feels like they would have a plan for this. So yeah, House of Dragon, Hot D, pretty good so far. I'm probably never going to talk about this again until we get to the final season. Well, not the final season, the end of the season. So yeah, Dorian, honestly, I'll just repeat what you would have said, which is you don't care, whatever. We'll get to the end of season 1. Sound good? All that?
Basically, yeah.
Perfect. Okay, your turn.
You have 2 left, right? So you want to do
one.
Oh, you have 1. Okay, that's it. Cool. All right.
Oh yeah, shit, you're right. I had The Last Samurai. Almost missed it. Missed it. Good movie. Last Samurai. Yes. I'm just gonna go ahead and get the score out of the way. How did no one ever think to give Tom Cruise a samurai sword before this? Out of 10. The Last Samurai. I think it's a flawed movie. I don't think it's that good.
No,
I feel like a lot of times with the way it's shot, I feel like it's very kind of melodramatic. Like I don't know what exactly is wrong with the movie, but at the end of the day, I don't really care because you can kind of tell that they put this on Tom Cruise's shoulders, and this man has Herculean fucking shit. He just has a lot of strength. No, I'm just cutting all that out. No, I'm not even. No, fuck it. I'm keeping it in because now everyone knows that I can't say Herculean. There we go. Herculean strength. There we go. Good enough. Close enough. He just can take a movie and put it on his back and carry it to the end. But not only is he the only one carrying this, Ken Watanabe as his co-star is just so fucking good. And that's the thing. This movie is cliche. It really is just a Dances with Wolves. It's another native story of a man getting taken into a culture and then suddenly enveloping himself in it. Like, it's nothing new that you haven't seen before. Except this time, they gave Tom Cruise a motherfucking sword, and this man commits to it so hard. Honestly, I really wish that there was something in this movie that made me like it more, because I would have liked to have added it to my shelf, because it's such a fucking cool idea. Tom Cruise and the work ethic he has to put into a movie, and you give him a samurai sword? Yes, absolutely. But it just falls short of me wanting to really love it, and I don't really know what stops me from loving it. So, Dorian, the Last Samurai, anything you want to say?
Yeah, good movie. I think we need to get a samurai sword in his hands again. So let's just do a Seventh Samurai remake. And no,
Nope.
Just
No, we already have a Seventh Samurai remake. Okay, we already do. It's cowboys.
Yeah, true. No, yeah, this movie's solid. I'm with you though. It's. I don't love it. I think it's good though. It just has so many flaws with it. But Tom Cruise, good as always. That movie. I remember watching this. I'm like, oh, this is probably gonna suck. I'm like, oh, this actually doesn't suck. It's better than I thought it would be. So that's good enough for me. 3 out of 5.
All right, perfect. So yeah, I already got my score out of the way. So back to you.
Cool. All right, last movie. Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. This is directed by Helena Regen. This is kind of her second movie, I think. It's her first big one, though. A24 picked it up. Starring Amanda Steinberg, Bonk. Actually, fucking the entire cast, Bonk, honestly. Like, there's a lot of Bonk-worthy cast.
Hey, speaking of Bonk, I learned that Lee Pace was gay. So we have a shot, boys. Let's go.
Oh, Bonk there, too, then. Bonk for Mr. Lee Pace.
I lied. He got actually gay married, so we're out of the running now.
Well, I don't know. Okay, never mind. Now, also in this movie, I gotta give special shout out to Rachel Sennott. Obviously, you might not. Probably you.
I don't.
Well, you do, Mr. Shiva Baby. That is Shiva Baby herself, Rachel Sennott.
Shiva Baby.
She is a treasure. Holy shit. She almost steals this entire movie, man. Every line that comes out of her mouth in this movie is fucking comedic gold. Just a great actress, and she really needs to be in more shit. Anyways, this movie is really just one of the smartest movies I've seen this year. I hated the trailer for this. I'm like, oh my god, this is going to be Zoomer fucking shit. I have no interest in this whatsoever. But I'm an A24 simp. I see A24. I'm going to at least give it a shot. And I'm really glad I did, because this movie's excellent. And it brings you into the movie thinking you're going to think one thing, and then it just kind of flips it on you and gives you something different. This movie is relentlessly attacking Zoomers, and I fucking love it. The old man boomer in me is like, yeah, fuck you, young generation. And I get to experience that fantasy watching this movie. It's basically kind of like almost like a game of Clue for Zoomers, and like just watching them all act like complete morons and make bad decision after bad decision, but it makes sense in the context of the movie. It's just very smart. It's just a very smart script, and I really grew to appreciate that part of the movie. Well edited, well directed. It's short. It's an hour and a half. It doesn't overstay its welcome. Fuck Pete Davidson still. I'm not a huge fan of him, but everything else with this movie is just really well made and excellent and better than I thought it would be. And it's one of my favorite movies of this year. I think it's in my top 5 still, or just outside my top 5. And yeah, I was just super impressed by this film. So good shit.
I will watch it at some point because I like Lee Pace out of 10.
That's and the soundtrack is the worst part of this movie, by the way. God, I hate Zoomer music. Lee Pace, good shit. Movie good, really enjoyable. 8 out of 10.
Perfect. All right. The last one on the list is Pokemon Colosseum. Okay. I'm happy that this is here at the end because I have been adoring this game. Like, I am actually kind of shocked how much that just playing it again is making me so happy. I didn't expect me to come back and actually enjoy this. I was kind of thinking that it would be just like a little hit of nostalgia and then I'd be done. But no, I just keep coming back. I want to say I'm probably like 5 or 6 hours in. I'm playing it through the HD GameCube. Wink, wink, wink. Now I need to break that illusion. I am playing it on the Wii U through the virtual Wii that is hacked, that's running Nintendo. Fuck, it's the cops! Fuck, it's the fuzz! Run! Okay, well, I need to say this before.
It's a bitch. It's Mario.
Oh fuck! No! I have all your fucking games over there on Switch. God damn it, Mario! I fucking swear, I'll give you the goddamn money if you'll actually let me give you the money. Okay, he's backing up. He's backing off. Is he gone?
Yeah, you're good. He's gone.
Okay, thank God. Okay, fucking Mario, man, I hate it whenever he does this shit. Thank God he doesn't know about my hack Switch. Okay, so now the reason I mentioned that entire process of the Wii U into the Virtual Wii to boot up Homebrew to then boot up Nintendo, which is the GameCube emulator. The reason I'm mentioning that is that I like this game so much that not only am I going through the tedium of booting it up that way, but oh yeah, Dorian, you don't know this game at all. You know nothing about it, right?
Very, very little.
Okay, so I need to actually explain to you what the game is. So it's a JRPG, but there isn't any random encounters with the Pokemon, right? It is a town-to-town thing, and the story takes you from place to place. The whole plot of the game is that there are these things called Shadow Pokemons, which at this point you realize, oh man, you guys were kind of ripping off Kingdom Hearts, weren't you? The Pokemon's hearts have been closed, and they are Shadow Pokemon to turn them evil into fighting machines. It's actually fucking funny because one of the villains in Pokemon Colosseum, he just looks like fucking Raikou from Kingdom Hearts 1. Like, it's actually hilarious. But it's funny when you think about the fact that the plot of the game is basically Kingdom Hearts. Let me see if I can find him. Villain. There we go. Okay.
Deshaun Mason screaming at his microphone right now.
No, not Kingdom Hearts, not Kingdom Hearts villain. I'm talking about the Pokemon Colosseum. No. Okay, I put in the link into the chat right here. You should be able to see it. That is just Riku, isn't it?
Let me see. The fuck? I'm looking at pictures of Poke. Oh, there he is. Oh yeah, that does look like him. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
Anyways,
why is Saul Goodman on the side? Okay, pause.
What? Saul Goodman goes wherever he wants, okay?
Fair enough.
So, Shadow Pokemon, right? The way that they introduce the ability to catch Pokemon in this game is that you have a machine that you put on your arm called the Snag Machine that can basically manipulate Pokeballs to steal other people's Pokemon. So the entire mechanic of the game that makes it special is that whenever you see a shadow Pokemon when you're facing against someone else, you are supposed to steal their Pokemon. So in the middle of a battle, you're supposed to catch their Pokemon. But here's the thing. You do not get a second chance if you kill that shadow Pokemon. If you don't catch that shadow Pokemon, it's done. It's over. You are never getting that Pokemon. And it's clicking that part of my brain that wants to catch all of them. But here's the thing. It is so easy to kill a fucking Pokemon. If you've ever played a Pokemon game, you know how easy it is to end a match in like 1 or 2 turns. So you don't know how many fucking times in the middle of playing this game, I will kill a shadow Pokemon. I'm like, fuck, let me go ahead and check the game. Let me go ahead and reload my save. I can't reload my save. You can't quit back to the main menu in this game. You can't reload your save. So you have to turn off the console. So I have been walking back and forth multiple times in my living room to go and turn off the Wii U, then turn it back on, and then go into the virtual Wii, and then boot up Homebrew browser, and then boot up Nintendo to boot the game. And that's the moment that I realized, fuck, I kind of like this game that I'm dealing with all of this bullshit here, which means that every single time I kill a shadow Pokemon that I wanted to catch, I basically have like 90 seconds to 2 minutes of a loading screen of me just getting back to where I was. And even then, I still like this game. The mechanics of catching a shadow Pokemon are actually really good because it involves you in the action of the combat now. It's no longer, let me just go ahead and destroy this thing. You need to remember types to make sure that you don't one-shot them. Oh, let me swap out for another Pokemon that's weaker so I don't kill them. I'm actually kind of impressed at the idea of Shadow Pokemon because it feels like it would be like a a problem that you worked backwards to solve. It's like, okay, no random encounters, but how do we still include the ability to catch Pokemon? Oh, the idea of shadow Pokemon. You're going to be stealing Pokemon. It's like, that's actually really fucking cool because it changes the entire dynamic of every combat sequence. That in turn actually ends up making it so when you're not facing a shadow Pokemon, it's like, oh, okay, cool, I can just kind of sleep through this. Also, at the end of the day, still, music fucking incredible. Oh my god, there hasn't been a track yet in this game that is missed. But yeah, man, Pokemon Colosseum, I want to keep playing this. Like, it is so good. Dorian, I actually think that if you ever had just like a small itch, like just a little voice in your head that's like, hey, you want to check out Pokemon again? Throw this on your Steam Deck. Like, honestly, if I could have this thing handheld, I actually think it'd be even better. Like, I would be, oh man. So
you're gonna answer if I ever play this game right now. Is Psyduck in it?
yes.
All right, I will give it a shot one day.
I think he actually even is a shadow Pokemon that you can grab.
All right, then we're in, baby.
Let's fucking go! Pokemon Colosseum, Psyduck.
No, actually, yeah, no. On my perfectly legal Steam Deck, where I legally purchased Nintendo games through an exclusive agreement with me and Nintendo and Valve,
Of course.
I might definitely check that out one day.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, I really want to keep playing this, and like every time when I think about it, I'm just like, man, that setup time is annoying as fuck. But I want to keep playing it. I really do.
I would just like to. I mean, I think we're nearing the end here. I would just like to say, both of us finding a game that we both loved and adored. Pretty disgusting. I hate it.
Fucking video games are terrible, honestly. This is did I give a score? The score is gonna be imagine that setup time and I'm still having fun out of 10.
My score is out of 10.
All right, we good?
Yeah, we're done.
All right, end card.
Hey, look at you. You got to the end of the episode. From episode 0 to the day that I finally get lazy and cancel the show. A big thank you to Joey Rawlings for providing the perfect name for the show. Be sure to always give him thanks, either out loud as you're listening to this, or you can just send him a thank you tweet at boogeyman117_. That's boogeyman117, IE instead of Y, double O. Be sure that it's an underscore, not a dash, 117.